Good evening, my fellow Americans. This is your president speaking, and today, today we are going to be talking about domestic issues, and obviously the number one thing is the reconciliation bill, which our Lord and Savior Chuck Schumer managed to strike from being called the big beautiful bill instead of, getting it struck down entirely. This bill, basically, remember that scene in Star Wars Episode 3 where the entire intergalactic Senate votes to elect Senator Palpatine to Chancellor Palpatine and then to Supreme Chancellor, and then he goes and says we're going to reorganize the Galactic Senate into the first Galactic Empire? This bill, if that passes, does that. Now, well, that's hyperbole. Who the fuck do you think you are? That's fear-mongering. You're just a leftist bullshit. Look at you. Your hair's all not even did. You're disheveled. You don't even look presidential. Got my chair halfway in the Matrix. Here's the reality. One, you're watching this on this channel, the politics channel, and my channel specifically, because you either remember me from 2017 where I ran for DNC chair and I told the DNC to their face that they are going to lose relevancy unless they start listening to their constituents, and 8 years later I was absolutely fucking right. Or you just like, oh, this looks interesting and okay, whatever else. Or you've actually been listening to me since we've been streaming last year and you're like, oh wow, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. Here's the thing, I do know what I'm talking about. And when I say you're wrong about something politically or historically, that you can pretty much take that to the bank. There's a few things where I might be wrong, like especially if it has to do with foreign policy. I don't know everything there is to know about Latin America. Full disclosure. But when I tell you that what's happening now in the United States of America is the exact playbook that Hitler used to take over Germany, and that the Nazis took our playbook from when we, eradicated Native Americans and engaged in slavery in the United States, that we've just been copying back and forth, right? So when I say that we are doing everything that the Nazis did in Germany, but on live, and not even pretending that we aren't, committing atrocities against marginalized communities, that is a fact. That isn't my opinion. That isn't even the opinion of other influencers. That's the opinion of Auschwitz historians, genocide researchers, and authorities globally, not just in the United States, but global authorities on what genocide is, authoritarianism is, and fascism is. And we're doing that. Well, we're not committing genocide against Latinos and illegals. We're just deporting them by sending them to death camps, by kidnapping them off the streets with unmarked, unsanctioned, probably not actually even the real federal agents themselves, but people masquerading as them, and then kidnapping them and trafficking them to God knows where, to be sent to God knows where. That those are the first steps of ethnic cleansing, of genocide. And genocide doesn't require the eradication of tens of thousands of people. It has to be deliberate, methodical erasure of a culture, all right? And if you don't believe me on that, we can Google the definition of genocide. Genocide, what did I just say? Genocide is the deliberate and systemic destruction of a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. It involves acts committed with the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, such a group. The term was coined by Raphael Lemkin, who defined it as a coordinated plan to exterminate a group. That is not figuratively what the United States is doing against the marginalized groups, focusing primarily on illegal immigrants from these Latin American countries. That is factually what we were doing, and that is factually what Stephen Miller is perpetuating, and what Donald Trump's talking about, and what J.D. Vance just voted to secure. So, yeah, that's why I have you as my Latin American advisor. And hello, sorry, I just went right into the soapbox, didn't I? Suffice to say, this bill, although, okay, fine, maybe it's a bit hyperbole to say that this makes Trump a dictator. It doesn't. But what it does do is erode quite a few of the remaining checks and balances that exist between the courts, Congress, and the executive branch, i.e. the president and his cabinet. Basically, we are going to dramatically increase funding for ICE detention centers, which will equate to equaling or exceeding the entire corrections industry in the United States of America. So we already have the Department of Corrections, which is already known to be the largest incarceration force in the world. And now we are creating a budget that meets and exceeds that, but for federal detentions of illegals. We are also talking about getting rid of natural-born citizenship, birthright citizenship, for those of you that may not be familiar with the terminology, which means you watching this. So let me repeat that again. Birthright citizenship is under threat. Well, yeah, for those illegals and their anchor babies. False. Birthright citizenship is under threat. Period. Not a comma, not space 4, : these demographics. Birthright citizenship to be revoked. Okay? Now, the Constitution clearly states that only a natural-born citizen may run for president of the United States and be vice president of the United States and the Speaker of the House. Because in order to be Speaker of the House, you have to be eligible to become president, because that's the third rung in the order of succession. President, VP, Speaker of the House, and then I think it goes to Senate pro tempore or whatever else. But you get where I'm going with this, right? So you can be a congressman and not be a United States citizen. You just can't be the Speaker. You can be vice president, but you have to be a natural-born citizen, a birthright citizen. So what happens when you go your entire life being a natural-born citizen, white American, 35 years old, Air Force veteran, served your country, but unlike me, you did 20 years and you retired. So you are a retired Air Force veteran, white man. Well, maybe you couldn't do that at 35. 39, my apologies. At 39 years old, you've retired from the Air Force as a white man from Kentucky. But you're not a Republican. You're not MAGA. You're not whatever else. And so the current administration, the administration whose party you do not belong to, chooses to retroactively strip you of your natural-born citizenship right. Even though you are a 39-year-old white male veteran, retired from the Air Force, combat veteran. Let's just say you actually fought, like you have a Purple Heart, Bronze Star, the whole fucking 9 yards. You are a goddamn Hollywood movie hero. I'll even throw in that you got a Medal of Honor. I don't give a shit. You're motherfucking Chris Kyle on steroid. Chris Kyle wishes he was you. But you challenge the authority of this administration, the current administration upon which you're trying to run for office, even as congressman, even as senator, even as president. You challenge this on social media. They got wind of it, and they're just going to retroactively take away your citizenship despite your retired 20 years of military service to your country, your Medal of Honor, your Purple Heart, your Bronze Star, your Silver, like all of this shit. Despite all of that, because you challenge their status quo, they can strip you of your birthright citizenship. Now imagine you're not the living, breathing embodiment of Captain America, and you're just some guy, some schmuck from fucking, well, we can go back to Kentucky again. Alabama, Texas. You're just some guy. If I said California, you'd be like, yeah, fuck them liberals. No. You're just some guy from Texas, and you're not even liberal in Texas. You're just like, well, I think women should have rights to their own body autonomy. I think they should. I don't believe that they don't have the right to an abortion. and now you just lost your citizenship. Well, I don't think it's responsible that they're raising taxes. Lost your right to citizenship. Well, I do believe in gun checks. Lost your right to citizenship. Well, in your brazenness to flex your hatred, your bigotry, your discrimination on to others, and make them suffer because you were born white and male and still managed to be a failure in the most white supremacist patriarchal society on earth that rewards white male mediocrity hand over foot. And you are such a pathetic excuse of a human being. You still can't succeed despite literally winning the genetic lottery in the most white supremacist country on the planet. You have to lash out against minority groups, and you end up not realizing that you have just punched the ticket of your own destruction. What they can do unto others, they can, and they will eventually do unto you. So congratulations, fuckboy. Congratulations, incel. Congratulations, MAGA chud. You played yourself because your groceries are going to go up. You're going to lose your job. You're not going to be able to access healthcare. You're not going to be able to access job training. The jobs, your economy at your local area, gone. That restaurant you really love going to despite hating that culture, gone. Your wife, who now has an ectopic pregnancy, in prison for murder. Your daughter, who had a miscarriage, in prison for fucking murder. Because you are such a fucking failure. And white women, you're on the shit list too. You're absolutely on the shit list. White people are the fucking reason for this. Because again, you won the genetic lottery. White rich man, white man, white poor man, rich white lady, generally. It doesn't matter if you're poor, genuinely better off. Literally everybody else. And there's like a huge gap. It goes regular white lady, trash, just you're treated like a somewhat of a human being, and then just absolute you're not treated as a human being at all. So last stage of being a human being in the United States is just a regular white woman with no wealth, power, or authority. From there up, y'all couldn't handle your own mediocrity and decided to make it everybody else's problem because you don't come from a generation that remembered hardship like your great-grandparents during the Great Depression, or the fact that polio was eradicated because of public medicine, or the fact that we built the middle class because of unions, or because vaccines are the sole reason why your fucking children don't die before the age of 8. Or why your children don't have to work in a steel mill or in a loom, losing their digits. And yes, I get it. I am pasty white. Like if I were to go to the beach right now without a shirt on and stand on a hill, people would be shouting, "The beacons have lit. We ride for Gondor." That's how fucking white I am. And I'm telling you, you're the fucking problem. And we can go into the reasons why. We can absolutely go into the reasons why. Your mommy didn't love you enough. Your daddy didn't love you enough. You're a failure despite winning the genetic lottery. You lack intelligence. You lack emotional intelligence. You lack the ability to critically think. You cannot read past a 3rd grade level. And you villainize everything and everything else that doesn't put you in the center precipice and on a pedestal, except everything does, but you still fail. And you can't reconcile your own failure and mediocrity, so you have to make it everybody else's problem. Like, I'm sorry that life gave you everything in a handbasket and you dropped it because you don't have the mental acuity to put it together. Like, this is, I am truly sorry that you failed so miserably despite having everything handed to you. I am truly sorry, but that is no excuse to make everybody else suffer for. Because again, well, my beliefs, let me stop you right there. Those are your fucking beliefs. Because my beliefs are to kick you in the fucking throat. But that's illegal because we've determined that violence of one human being against another human being is called assault, and that's a felony offense. And even if I claim in my heart of hearts, my truly religious held belief that I am a Nordic practitioner who believes in violence and revenge as part of my religious belief, my core religious values, that violence and revenge are actually protected and venerated by Odin and Thor, son of Odin, son of Freya. Even so, that wouldn't be a protection under the law because I would have then beaten you to death. I'm sorry, I said kick you in the throat. So let's just keep it at that. So why is it that your religious beliefs can be codified into law to commit acts of violence against women who are now being treated as murderers for having a completely natural phenomenon happen to them during some of the most difficult, painstaking, and emotionally taxing moments of their life, pregnancy, and during the worst moments of that pregnancy, failure, miscarriage, ectopic, stillbirth, whatever have you. Like, how is it okay? And your God, your Bible, your religious text doesn't even say that life begins at conception. It doesn't. It straight up fucking doesn't. It says the life begins at first breath. You dense, racist, misogynistic, idiotic motherfuckers who are illiterate. Now, here's the thing. You deserve literacy. You deserve to be taught. You deserve grace. You deserve the chance to be better, to educate and inform and reform yourselves. But you're not going to do it on your own because you're too fucking brainwashed and ignorant to recognize that you need help in the first place. Because your feelings about an idea preclude the knowledge and the factuality of said idea. And that's the problem. Our education system failed you because our education system is predicated on obedience and control and, well, whitewashing of history and colonialism. And that's not your fault. It isn't. Nope. That is 100% the fault of every generation that came before that allowed that to happen. But it is your responsibility to do better. And short of that, it is someone else's responsibility to enable you to do better through either deprogramming you and giving you the tools or forcing it down your throat, either through streams, content, whatever have you, and harshly punishing those entities that caused the situation in the first place, i.e. politicians, the media. Yes, the media. I agree. The media is fucking lying to you, but that doesn't mean Fox News is telling you the truth because they cannot claim to be actual news. They can only claim to be entertainment because they lost the lawsuit that says that they aren't news, right? That's where the 787 comes into play. Fun fact. So, I say all that, this rant, this rage, this venom, this vitriol against white people who voted for this shit to happen because you are the good Germans. Like, let's be, actually, no, you're not the good Germans. You're the actual Nazi party. And I'm not even going to attempt to mince words. Like, you're wrong if you think you're not. If you're voting for and supporting the party that wants to strip immigrants of their rights, strip women of their rights, strip disabled people of their rights, their freedoms, their resources, their citizenship, and send them to concentration camps with unmasked, unfettered, unaccountable law enforcement bodies, sending them to literal death camps. That's literally what the Nazis did, buddy. Hate to break it to you. Actually, I don't hate to break it to you. I want you to understand that I'm telling you this because I want you to wake the fuck up. Yes, get woke. Get woken up really loud. Alarm bells ringing. Because I know there's plenty of you out there. It's like, well, I voted for this and now I lost my job, my farm, my restaurant. My wife got deported. I'm a Marine. How's my wife getting deported? I voted for this. Why is my wife getting deported? We spent thousands of dollars. It's 10 years to get her citizenship, and now she's getting deported? What's up with that? There are no few of you who are regretting your vote. And I am calling on all of you to join the revolution. I don't give a fuck if you're a leftist. I don't give a shit if you're a liberal. I don't care if you're a conservative. What I care about, what truly matters to me, and it is the only thing that matters to me, is that you recognize the historic urgency that we find ourselves in. That you recognize it, and you're like, wow, this is bad, and we need to not be doing this. And then saying that to everyone that will or will not listen, just anybody within earshot, what's happening right now is not good, is bad. It's the opposite of good, in fact, and it is going to make everything worse. And then you're going to be in danger, and I'm going to be in danger, and then we're both going to be in danger, and then all of a sudden that poem makes a lot more sense, right? I get it. You wanted to stick it to the libs. First of all, fuck the Democrats. Fuck the Democrats. Fuck the Democrats. Fuck neoliberals. Fuck liberals. Because liberals aren't actually liberal. They are Bush light at best. They are conservatives who pretend they're not racist or bigoted. Because the second you put a brown person in their neighborhood, let me tell you what they do. I mean, we saw it with Mamdani. He just won the Democratic primary, and liberals are losing their fucking minds, calling him an anti-Semite, and that we should remember 9/11, and why would we let a Muslim terrorist become our nominee? So no, fuck liberals. Fuck liberals. But also fuck MAGA and the conservatives who enabled it. Here's the thing. Eisenhower was a conservative. FDR was a liberal. But they are known as classical liberals and classical conservatives. They weren't batshit insane. They worked together. What Eisenhower started, FDR finished. I believe that was the order. Could be getting a little discombobulated with my fury here. So it's not that we can't work together just because you were conservative or just because you wanted to own the libs, or you're a lib who realized, wow, Kamala Harris really was pro-genocide and really was trying to be more fascist than this piece of shit. Welcome to the team. But if you're an establishment just sheep, I mean, an establishment tool, then fuck you. Because you are either A, the Nazi party specifically, or you're the good Germans who are enabling it, which makes you a Nazi. Historically speaking, we didn't separate between the Germans who voted for Hitler because they supported it, and the Germans who voted for Hitler because they wanted to own the libs, or the Germans who didn't vote for Hitler but also didn't say anything against Hitler, right? So they were all Nazis, right? Because that was Nazi Germany. So if you are presently not supporting this stuff, welcome to the team. Not expecting you to change your strongly held beliefs. Would be great, but I don't expect that from you, because activism takes a whole lot of time and energy and change of thought. If the only thing you do is not drink the red or blue Kool-Aid, welcome to the team. What we need to do is make sure that the red or blue Kool-Aid is never drank, mixed, created, or ever in any sense, form, or fashion manufactured again. If Did Not Vote was a political party, Did Not Vote would be the singular most dominant political party at every level of government since FDR, I believe. I believe maybe Reagan won a super majority and a majority of people came out to vote, but I don't think so. I don't think a majority of Americans have ever voted in an election since about FDR. Maybe JFK. I could be wrong. I don't mind being wrong on that statistic, but the main point here is, does not vote, only a quarter of the population voted for Trump, and only a quarter of the population voted for Kamala Harris. The other half of the country didn't vote because they were like, why the fuck would I choose genocide or genocide? Fascism or fascism, but with a rainbow. Like, Kamala was trying to present herself as being more Trump than Trump, but somehow less charismatic than Trump, who's also not charismatic. So no, what we need to do is recognize that the two-party system has failed us, and that we don't have to rely upon it. Well, that's unrealistic. You need to grow up. You got to vote for one or the other. Said the one or the other, right? Because nothing else is realistic. Do you not see? Go to fucking Walmart and look at the potato chip aisle. Do you only have 2 brands to choose from and 2 flavors? No, the fuck you do not, because this is fucking America. You do not have to pick Lay's or Oots. You don't. You could literally pick Walmart brand. You could pick Doritos. You could pick Cheetos. You could pick Festo. I mean, like, I don't know all the chip brands off the top of my head, but do you see where I'm going with this? Like, the choice isn't just Coke or Pepsi, and fun fact, Dr. Pepper's actually winning the soda war. But nobody ever votes for Dr. Pepper because they think they never can, but yet it's still dominant. Imagine fucking that. You don't have to vote for Coke or Pepsi. You can vote for Dr. Pepper or Sprite or Mountain Dew. All you have to do is be like, well, I'm in a deep red area, so, I mean, I only have the choice to vote for Coca-Cola. Says fucking who? Well, my vote doesn't matter. Said a majority of people, which has been reiterated by every single talking head, influencer, politician, and journalist for the past 80 years, because we almost had communism in this country. Real communism. Like communism. Like we damn near had Sweden-level social democracy or democratic socialism. Like, it was almost to the point where, like, capitalism was about to go out the window. And, well, capitalists weren't having that. And they just spent 80 years fighting against socialist ideology and communal-based economics for the past 80 years. And this is what we get, fascism. Because that's the only natural outcome of capitalism, is fascism, is some form of authoritarianism. And we are seeing it resurge, the resurgence of it in Germany, which is scary. Italy, Spain, very scary. The Axis powers are succumbing to the same shit that they did in World War II or leading up to World War II. Because the same economic conditions exist. Unfettered and unmitigated, they exist. But not only do they exist via social media and is being broadcast. And it's clear as day for anyone with 2 eyes and 2 ears that this is happening. Except the propaganda machine is designed to cull those who aren't capable of that. And unfortunately, that is a supermajority of the population. 80% of any given population can and will succumb to propaganda of either demographic, of either ideology, but they will succumb to it. It's only the 20% or so that won't, which is a minority, but 20% is sufficient, very sufficient, to achieve social and political change. Because you only actually need 3% of a group working together over at least 90 days to consistently push back against a regime for regime change to happen. That regime could be at your local community, your local town, city, whatever. Could be your county, could be your district, it could be your state, it could be your fucking country. But it does require 3% of the population, and it does require 90 days, approximately an average of 90 days, of consistent pushback. For instance, a general strike. If 11.5 million Americans refuse to go to work for 90 days, that would dramatically impact the economy. And during COVID, we did that for 2 months. And they shit themselves. The American industry, the power brokers, all of them shit themselves and convinced us that we wanted to go back to work, that we wanted to go to the parks, that we didn't like wearing masks, XYZ, PDQ, because if that had gone on for even another week, we would have started having a genuine, unfettered general strike and an impromptu workers' revolution that they could not remotely afford. And they managed to put that genie back in the bottle. I didn't think it was possible, and here we are. Bringing it back to today's stream and the big, beautiful bill, which is is actually the reconciliation bill, but all of what I just said culminates in this reconciliation bill and how that reconciliation bill, is going to dismantle Medicaid, Medicare, education, give a $5 trillion debt ceiling to the government to spend on the military industrial complex, federal law enforcement, regular law enforcement, and gutting things like childcare services, SNAP benefits, libraries, hospital funding. I think there was like I already said education. If I didn't, education funding, roads, clean energy. We're going to go from the clean energy that we've already been investing in and go back to coal, which can't even meet our needs regardless. And cutting back on regulations, which have all been things that we have fought for over the past 80-ish years. So, let's get to it.
One platform, any website.
Shocking that we went straight into an ad.
Overnight, the Senate Budget Committee releasing their final, updated version of what President Trump calls his big, beautiful bill, setting the stage for votes to begin as soon as this afternoon, after a tumultuous day of negotiations.
It seems like there's a lot of thorny issues that you've got to work through.
This is called, what I think you guys have said, making the sausage?
Yeah.
So we're making the sausage right now.
President Trump making a last-minute sales pitch for this massive bill that delivers on a slew of his campaign promises.
It's a great bill. It's a massive tax cut.
From a $4.5 trillion extension of the Trump tax cuts
it's a
to
massive
hundreds
tax
of billions
cut for
of
the
dollars
wealthy.
in funding for his mass deportation plan, plus eliminating taxes on tips and overtime.
It's a great bill. It's a popular bill, but we'll get no Democrats only because they don't want to vote for Trump. They have Trump derangement syndrome at levels never seen before.
Democrats slamming the Republican bill's cuts to social programs like food stamps and Medicaid, including imposing work requirements for those benefits. Democrats say that hurts vulnerable people.
Of course Americans hate this bill. It steals their Medicaid. It jacks up their premiums.
But it's Republicans that cannot get on the same page. North Carolina's Tom Tillis concerned about the impacts on rural hospitals.
As we're moving and trying to make changes.
Wisconsin's Ron Johnson telling us the bill does not cut enough spending.
Is there any one particular thing that you're still fighting for at this point?
President Trump said he wanted the Senate to make the bill better. I'd like to make it much better.
Whatever the Senate passes must once again pass the House. We press Speaker Mike Johnson.
Could they be surprised by what the Senate sends them back?
Well, look, I haven't slept maybe 6 hours this week because I'm on the phone all the time with members.
The vast majority of Republicans in both the House and Senate do support this package. And even though President Trump said that he's open to pushing that July 4th deadline, there's a real sense here that they want to get this bill done before the holiday. As soon as the Senate passes the package, it's expected the House will vote very quickly. Peter and Laura?
Ryan, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't.
So I don't know why they did the B-roll that way, because every time they cut to the senator speaking, they didn't even say anything of substance. Yeah, no, I mean, Mike Johnson said that they're probably going to lose their majorities if they pass this bill. Right. No, and here's that's my point. That is the whole fucking point of this. These parasites are now realizing, oh, if we push all of our delusional rhetoric into politics, we realize that this is extremely unpopular and we're going to lose our spaces and our spots. But we still want to gain the favor of the president so that we're not politically targeted. But we also don't want to lose the base that we've cultivated that'll get us in there. And this is the thing. This bill and this administration is just doing anything in its power to consolidate power and authority. No, it's not true. A lot of people did vote for that, but a lot of people voted for that not realizing what that would actually mean, because again, we're not educated as a country. And I'm not even pointing fingers at conservatives at this point. Liberals are just as uneducated on general politics. Like, the normie, the not political streamer, the not political junkie, right? The not political influencer does not know a fuckload about anything having to do with politics. It's, not for me. I'm sorry. I have better things to do. It just doesn't interest me. It's like, it always makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, Do you know that everything in your life is politics, to include what you consume, like in your food and in your media? Like, we used to have basically a truth bill, like that the news couldn't lie to you. The fairness doctrine was rescinded, which is why propaganda has been proliferating at astronomical rates in the United States of America, and why politicians can lie in their attack ads. Like, and it's political that politicians can spend, or that corporations can spend money in politics in the first place. Oh, and by the way, they lift the cap now on federal elections. There is unlimited spending now for elections at the federal level, according to the bill, if that passes. So it's like, okay, so your hand sanitizer, right? Manufactured for Unilever Asia Private Unlimited, distributed by, manufactured by. The suave promise, the guarantee your full satisfaction, or we will replace or refund your purchase. Where's the ingredients on this thing? Inactive ingredients. It says water, carbomer, and triphenylamine. And the active ingredient is alcohol, right? Except, is that actually true? Well, if this suave and this industry is actually correctly regulated, that is true. 75% alcohol, with water, carbomer, and triphenylamine. Those are the only chemicals that should be allowed in this hand sanitizer. Except that's not the case. That's simply not the case. Otherwise, we wouldn't have product recalls. You take any food or beverage, and I don't have an example here. Food or beverage that has an ingredients listing, and you're going to find out that those companies are probably using things like chemicals that are used in like industrial processes that are going to be found in those powders, in those foods, in those meals, or that they didn't, package the meat correctly. I'm just getting over food poisoning because I stupidly bought price-reduced fish thinking I just made a killing and saved my money on meal prepping. And chances are, even though it's a frozen food and even though it said good until February 2026, chances are it was probably left on a pallet during the worst heat wave in American history or in this year. And I just consumed 3 of those packs, and then it was the 4th one that got me good. Because there's no regulation. That entire pallet should have been thrown out, but this is America with deregulation, and corporations are going to make their money. So instead of throwing out a pallet worth of fish, we'll just reduce the price, and a few people might get food poisoning, but we're going to make our money. Now imagine that on steroids, where the FDA just doesn't exist anymore. The FDA just does not exist anymore. We don't care about what's in the chemicals, and you have to trust that the corporations, who will do everything in their power to make a buck, will not lie to you about what's in their food. That's in the bill. I recall a time when congressional members or one member said they'll lose the majority, but they still got to do the right thing. And we're supposed to take this administration seriously. Who gave them the authority to determine? Yeah, they tell us many things that aren't true, and they want us to trust them that they made the determination so they can strip us of funding. Meanwhile, Palestinians are getting it a whole lot worse, and they want to reduce them to nothing. Right? No, I mean, these politicians, they're only looking out for themselves, and it's not even that they. I don't even think it's for the sake of power and authority. I think they only care about the illusion that they are giving themselves and the fact that they might become lobbyists after the fact. All they care about is that they have the means and the resources to feel popular, to feel powerful, because as a congressman, you are entitled to certain privileges: travel, protection, privileged information, such as insider trading. Why are so many congresspeople ridiculously wealthy and still trade stocks that they regulate and sit on committees that govern those agencies and those industries? Like, all this is to get their own. Like, that's all it is. For 99.99% of every elected official, it's to get their own. Which is why I just watched a reel on this. Noam Chomsky said it himself. You can't trust any form of government, because you always have to challenge authority to justify itself. Because authority will always seek to expand. That goes for anyone and any time and any place for any reason that has authority. Parents, you start off thinking, I'm going to raise my little one with love and care, and they're just going to be cute little babies. And then they become toddlers, and you're like, put it down. And then they're kids, and it's like, how many fucking times have I told you stop running in the house? And then they're teenagers. It's like, oh, you told me to shut up? We're going to shut up today. Why can't I do that, Dad? Because I fucking said so. My house, my rules. Do you pay the bills? No, I don't think you pay the bills. Turn off your fucking lights. Now, that's fairly abusive, right? Son, I need you to turn off those lights. Why? Because I said so. Still authority. And it went from because I love my little to because I said so. Well, that's not a good... And I'm your father who pays all the bills here, who raises you, loves you, respects you as your own individual. But I, your father, the person who pays the bills in this house, am telling you, my son, the one who does not pay the bills in this house, to turn off the lights. So that is what you shall do. It's authority. It's expansion. And that's a really ridiculous example. But now imagine you bring that to bear as a manager, a supervisor, a congressman, a president, a governor, CEO. When you can act with impunity, it does impact you. Unilaterally, absolute power corrupts absolutely. There are so few people on this earth and throughout history that can wield absolute power for any length of time. It's why the Romans had the offer for dictatorship, and it was limited to 6 months, except how many times did the dictator actually relinquish that power? In Roman history, who created the dictator? The dictatorship? Like once. And his name was Cincinnatus, a general, a very revered and loved, respected general. They made him dictator. He put down the rebellion. He's like, all right, I'm going back to my field. We done? We good? And the Senate was shook. Like, wow, we didn't actually expect you. We were going to let you keep it. You did such a great job. It's like, well, I don't want it, so go away. Julius Caesar, there was another like Crassus, and there was like every other dictator in Roman history basically let it go to their head. And they never got rid of it afterwards. That's the funny part, but that's my point. The altruistic leader who reels with absolute authority is a thing of fantasy and fiction that has happened so few times in human history that it is damn near legend. That is damn near mythology. So when you have CEOs running for office, when you have business leaders running for office, whose sole and express purpose and last living experience has been unfettered authority and not being able to be told no because you could just unilaterally be fired for it. Now you're putting them in positions of power where they can dictate the outcomes of lives. Generations of lives, past, present, and future. What do you expect to happen? So anyway, we might be doing a lot less video watching in this one. Let's see
tonight,
if
all
they
the
actually
focus
cover
is
a
on
little
the
bit
Senate
more.
floor. All day long, senators have been voting on amendments to Donald Trump's gargantuan tax and spending bill. Republicans are rushing to get the bill to Trump's desk in time for his Friday deadline. Now, Donald Trump wants you to focus on his campaign promises that are in the bill, extending the tax cuts from his first term, billions of dollars for border security, and eliminating taxes on tips and overtime. But let's level set about what else this bill will do. It would kick 12 million Americans off of their health insurance thanks to a $1 trillion.
Interestingly enough, 12 million people, 12 million Americans, is a touch over the 3% necessary for a revolution to occur, so long as those 12 million people protested consistently over the course of 90 days. Now, I get that most people who are on Medicaid are probably not capable of physically protesting because they're on Medicaid for a reason. But it's a fun fact that that is about 3% of the population, which is historically necessary to affect societal change. So,
dollar cut to Medicaid. That is according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. It would also potentially cut SNAP program by $300 billion by adding new work requirements. And the bill could devastate clean energy companies by stripping away subsidies and funding that was created during the Biden administration. And on top of all of that, the Senate bill would add at least $3.3 trillion to the national debt over the next decade. That is according to analysis by the CBO. Now, Republicans Tom Tillis and Rand Paul have already said they are voting no, which means the GOP can only afford one more no vote. And there are still a handful who are undecided, at least publicly. Of course, to meet the president's deadline, the Senate bill still needs to make it through the House. And we are already seeing some hardline conservatives in the House complain about the Senate's version. Can you guess why? Well, it's partially because of that $3.3 trillion deficit number. The House version of the bill would have added $2.4 trillion, and House Republicans insisted that price tag should not be changed. And that leaves us where we are in the vote-a-rama.
Monday CRM.
That was depressing to listen to. Now, fun fact, and I don't know if we can check this. So, let me see. Let me see if I can just go to Google on this page right here. I don't know if it's going to work like that. Okay, so I think it did. All right, so did I lose our YouTube? No. So we still have our YouTube. Perfect. So Google. All right. Applying for SNAP benefits in Ohio. Wow, I cannot type. Sorry, guys. Not now. So we're going to apply for SNAP. Follow these 4 rules. Complete this application. Turn in this application. Complete an interview. And or for SNAP and or cash assistance only. And then turn in verification documents for all the programs. The verification documents would be below. Your social security number, permanent resident card, proof of citizenship, proof of income, statements, ownership, vehicles, stocks, bonds, dependent care costs, etc. Medical assistance which ones require an interview? What if I miss it? You have 30 days. Benefits. Hold on a second. There's the one where it says, what's your financial needs? Like how to actually prove. Let's see. Oh, wait, is this the actual application? Okay, here it is. Perfect. So there is the financial requirements section here where you put in your requirements. So is your household's total gross income before taxes for the current month less than $150? That's already the fucking bar that they're asking you to meet. Making less than $150 a month. Who can fucking survive on that in the first place? Where's rent for less than like what? That doesn't even make sense. Is your household's total net income for the current month 0 after taxes and paying for such things as household costs, childcare, or now see that makes more sense. Like you don't have an income. Are your total resources in cash, checking, and savings accounts 100 or less? So not only can you not make gross more than $150, you can't have over $100 in your bank account. So you have to be spending $150. No, you have to be making $150 or less, and you can't even have a savings of over $100. Are your monthly rent or mortgage utilities more than your total monthly gross income before? Yeah, that's a no. Like what? And then all the people, right? All your social security shit, your age, disability, more household expenses, child assistance, school and training. Like you have to literally divulge every minutia of your fucking life. And then all of the kids, however many there may be, school attendance, all that fun stuff. So the questions, of course, are legally binding. JFS can talk to you, which is the Job and Family Services. This will also have to cooperate with child support, i.e. the people who can take your kids away from you. The law provides a penalty, a fine, or imprisonment, or both for anyone convicted of fraudulently receiving assistance, which at that point, I think you're better off going to prison anyway if you don't even bring home $150 or keep $100. The guilt, the violation, trafficking benefits. I guess that would be illegally selling your SNAP benefits. What else? That's just if you sign this and you're lying, you go to prison. And then these are all the people you would email this to, like per county. And then, the non-discrimination statement, which, of course, because now that this is a government agency, they can and they have and they will send this to the Department of ICE, of Immigrants and Customs Enforcement, which means if you said that you have a green card or whatever else, you are now being sent to ICE, and they're also being told that they know now that you do have kids that go to school at this place at this time, and that you are so poor that you need SNAP. So that's what they cut $300 billion for, and adding more work requirements for. Just to be fucking clear. We come Sundays, Jesus. Tuesdays through Thursdays from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. So it is 7:52 Eastern. I don't know what time it is where you're at, but it is almost an hour after the time that we usually start. Remember in 2024 when they said groceries are so high? Good times, right? Then they expanded their lead in Congress and now shame people who need SNAP to get those, which you can't even get. Like, let's be very fucking clear. This is beyond poverty levels of income. I actually did apply for SNAP one year because I was unemployed for like a ridiculous amount of time, and I was like, shit, it's harder to get work nowadays than I thought. And I was like, well, let me see if I can at least curb my costs a little bit by getting SNAP. They wanted me to sell my car because it was worth more than $3,000. They wanted me to sell my house because I owned a house at that time. So they wanted me to sell my house and my car to finance my finances, which were the house and the car. They wanted me to sell my house and my car before I was even eligible for SNAP benefits. And I read it over and over and over again, like, I have to be misinterpreting this. And I think I signed up for like Legal Shield and paid the $14 and asked. They're like, no, that's exactly what they mean. And I'm like, are you what would be the point then? I'd be losing my entire livelihood. I'd be homeless, jobless, and vehicleless. What am I supposed to do? Be able to eat but live on the street and then be arrested for vagrancy? Like that is real shit. I thought that was what I would find in there. But I think I'd have to actually log in with my ohio.gov credentials, and I don't want to dox myself like that on stream. But the point being, that's how fucked up this shit is. People on SNAP benefits, on all of these like social welfare programs are literally do not have an income, do not have wealth. Well, then they should work, get a better job. If they even got a job, they would be kicked off of it. Well, they should just save their money. You just saw that they're not allowed to have more than $100 in your bank account. So I don't even know what to tell you. Like, this is pure insanity. It's only going to get worse. There shouldn't be anyone in this country that is food insecure, correct? But with as much spending as we do on ridiculous shit, no way. No, I was getting paid $7 an hour living in New York City, and I wasn't eligible SNAP or even the government subsidized healthcare. They said I have to be less than $800 a month and live alone. So what would $800 a month be? So $800 a month times 12 divided by 2080. Oh, whoops, I did divide. I did minus 12. Whoopsies. All right, so 800 times 12 divided by 2080, you'd have to be paid $4.60, 62 cents an hour to make $800 a month, which is less than the federal minimum wage. So there is literally no legal way, unless you are a server or working part-time. If you're working full-time at the federal minimum wage of $7 an hour, which I think it's actually $7.50, but whatever, you are not eligible for SNAP. And that is literally the federal minimum wage. So in order to be eligible for SNAP, you have to be working part-time at most. Bruh, how the fuck are you supposed to survive on that? And you can't even get a freaking oven roasted chicken already prepared at the supermarket because it doesn't qualify in SNAP. It's food stamps. Yeah. No, and that's the thing. Like, now they're nickel and diming you on what you can even get. It's like, unless it is a granulated flour, not even fully ground, fine ground flour. If it's just flour from the bag, coarse ground, you can buy that. You can't get eggs though, and you can't get anything else. You can just mix the flour, and you can't get water. You can just mix the flour with your tears and lick the dry powder off your hands. That's essentially what SNAP allows you to even get. Chilling. No, buddy. And this is what I was saying in the beginning of the stream. People don't even realize how fucked people are in this country, especially given the fact that 60% of the population can't even meet their basic needs. 60% of the population can't even meet their basic needs. 50% of the population makes $35,000 or less. So what's 35,000 divided by 2080? Approximately $16.83. So the average worker is barely making $16.83. Average, because 50% is half. But it's actually worse than that, because 60% of Americans cannot meet their basic needs, which means that 35,000 isn't even the basic needs. And we were talking about less than $800 a month. So do you know what 35,000 divided by 12 is? $2,916.67. That's gross pay, mind you. That's not after taxes pay. So if we multiply that by 0.7, that's take home of $2,041. That's my mortgage. That's literally my mortgage. And that's the rent in like half of the states. Like, yeah, my apartment might have only been $1,350, but the coasts, New York, California, New Hampshire, Illinois, a lot of the places in this country where people live, it's pretty much fucking average. So people's net take-home pay is about average for what the rent is in most states. And even if rent was okay, $1,350 like mine is, you still got bills to pay, which is, let's just add $200 to that, and which is still gonna need you to buy food, and it costs me about $600 a month to eat. So 600 plus 200 is 800, plus the $1,350 is $1,950. So now you have literally less than $100 left to spend. So I hope you don't have to pay a car note, car insurance, have a phone, need gas, or literally anything else because you don't have the money for it. So when we're talking about poverty in America, we mean that $2,000 of take-home pay is poverty. You cannot actually survive off of that. $15 a month is less than this. Fight for 15 would be less than this. In fact, what would be 15 times 2080 times 0.7 divided by 12? 1820. So imagine living off of it. You couldn't. We already said we were at 1950. For me to live by myself with a water bill and an electric bill, rent, and eating $600 a month. Because that's how much fucking shit costs. Yeah, maybe you could drop the 600 down a little bit, but you're still not eating anything remotely resembling healthy at $200 a month. And you're still not being able to afford a car note, car insurance, gas, and a phone or internet at that point either. Internet's $80 minimum. Car note, $100 minimum. Car insurance seems like it's going to be $100 minimum. Even if you get liability, that's $30 minimum. So that's still $250 right there, right? Like, gas is $30 a tank. And if you commute, that's $120 a month. Like, there is no arithmetic in which, even if you're just eating ramen noodles every fucking day, and that's it, where $18.20 a month gives you anything, because you still have to pay for health insurance. Like, we haven't even gotten into health insurance. The last time I actually looked at what it would cost me to pay for health insurance as a healthy single male, it was still $350, and that was in 2015. Thank fucking God I enlisted, and I'm grandfathered into the VA forever. Because, okay, rent's $1,350, your insurance is $350, you're already at $1,700, and you're bringing home $18.20. That's not a thing. There is no arithmetic where your rent plus your health insurance, two things. Well, okay, I guess the rent isn't by law, but the insurance is. By law, you must have health insurance. So there's your $350 right off the rip. And it's not $350 anymore. It's like probably $400 or $500 now. God forbid you have a child. Now we're looking at $800. So before you even calculate anything else in your budget, you have to account for health insurance. So, reason why a lot of people don't have health insurance and just don't go to hospitals and just, oh, but wait, when you pay your taxes, you have to show proof of insurance. Because if you don't, you go to jail. Right, I forgot about that part. Yeah, so sucks to suck. Guess you shouldn't have been born in America. So
it is the biggest tax cuts for billionaires in American history, paid for by throwing 13.7 million Americans.
So they're just repeating the same shit.
Now
this is funny. Funny, haha, as everything burns.
And do you have a clean driving record? Did you know you could pay?
No. The Trump and Musk feud breakup has reignited, and Trump threatened to deport Musk. I hope that's what's happening here, but that doesn't look like what's going to be discussed in this video.
The marathon vote on amendments continued overnight as Senate Republicans raced to pass President Donald Trump's massive spending package.
This is Congress's job, and by God, we ought to.
Why listening only? So wait a second. Does listening only mean you're not even watching the stream? I need viewers! Just kidding. I was wondering what the eyeball meant next to your name, Chillins, but apparently it's listening only. I don't know what that means, but welcome to the
bill
stream.
Includes an extension of the president's 2017 tax cuts and increased border and defense spending. But lawmakers in both parties
we'll have to figure out
come
how.
Out against its
honestly,
cuts to Medicare.
Honestly, if listening only still counts as views, then let's go. Just put me on in the background, buddy. Turn off your fucking camera. He doesn't need to see this. Nobody needs to see this. Honestly, if we can do this stream without seeing my face and all you have to do is hear my sultry voice, then let's fucking go.
This bill is going to ruin people's lives.
Because then I can just sit here shirtless.
On social media, President Trump pushed to get his one big beautiful bill across the finish line by his July 4th deadline, calling the legislation the greatest and most important of its kind in history.
Republicans need to stay tough and unified during the home stretch.
Overnight, the president also reignited his feud with billionaire Elon Musk.
It was Trump who did that.
Musk threatened on X that any lawmaker who votes for the massive bill, quote, will lose their primary next year if it's the last thing I do on this earth.
And you know what's funny about that threat? his threat is hilarious because it just goes to prove that he did rig elections and that he is bankrolling people's elections and that he has enough money. Because mind you, total campaign spending in 2024 POTUS race. Total campaign spending was $5.5 billion. Total. From all contributions, candidates, political parties, and outside groups trying to influence federal elections reached approximately $5.5 billion. It's in the opensecrets.org. It's in the fec.gov. And in fact, FEC breaks it down even further. Presidential candidates, receipts and disbursements, $1.6 billion in receipts, $1.3 billion in disbursements. Congressional candidates, $3.2 billion in receipts, $2.7 in disbursements. In party committees, $2.1 billion in receipts, $1.8 in disbursements. PACs spent $12 billion in receipts and $10.9 billion in disbursements. Which literally proves that, what is that total in receipts? 12 plus 2 is 14, plus 3 is 17, plus 1.6 with all the other digits. 17 plus 2 is 19. $19 billion spent in federal elections this past year. Thank you for the follow. $19 billion. Musk fucking has how much money? Like right now? Current net worth of Musk? $409.8 billion. That's 5% of his net worth. 5% of his net worth is what it cost on the entire federal election cycle. The entire federal election cycle. He has that by a factor of 20 himself. Elon Musk could have single-handedly bought and paid for the entire federal election. The entire all of it. All 530, well, I guess it's 435 congressmen were up for re-election and the 34 senators and the president. From both parties. So that's, and mind you, both major parties, but this also includes the third parties, right? And all of the primaries involved. So this is thousands of candidates spending $19 billion. This is thousands of candidates spending $19 billion cumulatively from a period of January 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024. Approximately $19 billion. And Elon Musk could spend that 20 times over. So, okay, well, most people don't have money in their bank account, so let's not even go there. But say you had $30,000 in your bank account, and you divided that by $20, or 20. You just divided that by 20. That would be the equivalent of spending $1,500. So if you have $30,000 in your bank account, right fucking now, you have $30,000. The equivalent of buying every single federal office election, paying for all of it, would be the equivalent of you spending $1,500. Is that a lot of money? If you only have $30,000, yeah. But you know what $1,500 is? Typically a vacation, a major repair on your vehicle or your home, a brand new gaming computer, gaming laptop, a living room set, a dining room set, a mattress set, getting your house landscaped professionally because you can't actually garden and your house got way ahead of you. Like $1,500 is a lot. It is. I'm not saying it's not. $1,500 is quite a bit of money. It's rent. There you go. That's your rent. $1,500. That's your fucking rent in most places. Like that. Imagine if your rent could purchase. Not purchase. Finance every single federal race in the country. Your rent is all it took to finance every single federal race in the country. Every congressman, every primary, every candidate in the primary for U.S. House, U.S. Senate, and the presidency. For all parties. Every party. That's what Elon Musk just could have done. And he didn't. He spent $100 million. That's it. He spent $100 million. That's it. Out of his $400 billion. So, quick math, I don't know what that is. So, but $400 billion. Yeah, divided by 100. 4,000. That goes in there, 4,000. So that's 0.4%. Am I? So what's 0.4%? Yeah, that's not right. Times 0.004. $120. He spent the equivalent of $120. And again, if you had $30,000 in your bank account and you spent 0.4% of that money to buy the president of the United States of America, to carve out your own little personal spot in the presidency, to then wield more power and authority than the president because you're not constitutionally regulated, you're not even approved by the Senate or the House, and you just got every single cabinet position and every single agency that was fucking investigating you, firing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of federal employees, and then forcing your industry on it is the equivalent of spending $120. Now, I don't know about you, but I personally have spent $120 on some dumb shit. I have spent way more than $120 on some dumb shit. $120 is what Musk spent to become more powerful than the president for about 5 months. Would you spend $120 to have more authority than the president? Even for 5 months? Like, this is how convoluted this shit is. Like, I cannot stress enough that billionaires and their wealth are so astronomically obscene that they can literally personally finance our entire federal election system to include the primaries by themselves and not bat an eyelash. Now, sure, not every billionaire has $19 billion. That's true. Out of curiosity, how many US-based billionaires have over 19 billion? That's curiosity, right? There are 15 US-based billionaires who have a net worth of at least 100 billion. That was an AI answer. Hold on a second. So if we go to the Forbes 25, it starts. Okay, let's just say it's 100. Let's just say 100 billionaires could, with their entire net worth, buy and sell the entire U.S. federal election process. The entire I'm talking ads. I'm talking the buttons, the yard signs, the t-shirts, the hats, the news appearances, the influencer payments, the driving around, the flying around, paying for staff. I cannot stress enough. When I say $19 billion of the entire expenses, the entire income from running for office and the expenses thereof, which the disbursements were actually closer to like 17 billion. $17 billion, dude. Is paying for the staffers, paying for the volunteers, paying for NPG van, paying for data, paying for call lists, hiring and paying for volunteers and volunteer coordinators. Sorry. Paying for the buses, paying for the real estate, paying for the spaces, paying for the events, the rallies, and the location fees and the sound, and paying for law enforcement to be there for overtime. All of this goes into that $17 billion that was spent and the $19 billion that was raised. There was a question, Nixo. What's my opinion on Ukraine? Is that the Ukrainians are a U.S. proxy state fighting a proxy war with Russia, and that the reason why that proxy war began was so that the United States could gain access to the lithium and natural gas resources that are and uranium that are in the Ukraine, and that the whole thing is a charade to gain access to those natural resources. And we should not be in Ukraine. We should not be funding Ukraine. But we were also the reason why the Ukrainian Nazi movement it became exacerbated, and why Russia felt compelled to interfere. So we're the bad guys. We funded the bad guys. Ukraine is not the good guys. Russia aren't the bad guys, but they're also not the good guys, because they didn't have to invade. They could have done literally anything else, but they did. So they're not the good guys. So yeah, it's just a big clusterfuck. It's 8:17. I've been talking nonstop, and that apparently makes me very hungry. Give me like 2 seconds to come back here. Let's play a video though real quick. Wow.
His administration
we'll just finish that
take a good hard look at government subsidies for Musk's space, internet, and electric car companies, adding there's big money to be saved.
Uline is the leading distributor of shipping, industrial, and packaging materials throughout North America.
We are a brand new branch. There's
Sorry,
a general
I'm also
buzz and
still dealing with
about
food
Uline
poisoning
coming to
because
town. It's a fast-paced.
I managed to buy on sale fish, and I thought I was getting a deal, and there's a reason why fish goes on sale. So don't buy fish that's on sale unless you have a constitution above like 20, because I don't have a constitution above 5. So, little nerd joke there. I don't agree with the proxy war though, but that's interesting, nor with the Nazis either. Well, the good news about the Nazi aspect of it is it's not a matter of opinion, it's fact. The CIA funded the Nazi movement in the Ukraine and elevated it to literally get a coup d'etat, an overthrow, if you will, of the Ukrainian government, which then became pro-Nazi. And the Nazi movement then went to outlying areas within the Ukraine and started murdering Russian citizens, or Russian Ukrainian citizens, but from with Russian ties. And we're doing that with impunity, despite Russia asking for about 5 years straight to stop, or we will do something about it. And then that escalating further. At one point, the Nazi Ukrainians murdered around 30 or 40,000 Russians that were living in the Ukraine. So that's not a matter of opinion. That's a historical fact. And the proxy war aspect, I guess that's sort of debatable, because what is the definition of a proxy war, right? Well, a proxy war, you know what? Let's not just do what I'm going to say. Let's just do definition of a proxy war. A war instigated by a major power which does not itself become involved. So it is a U.S. proxy war, the proxy being Ukraine, against Russia. And we lost. We keep losing. Because Ukraine, using U.S. military assets, was not able to defeat or repel Russian advancement. Just like when Iran fought back against Israel after Israel fucked around and found out, the Iron Dome failed within hours of Iranian bombardment. That too was a U.S. proxy war against all Middle Eastern countries through Israel. And America is losing that as well. I fact-checked and looked for all the articles and timestamps related to that. Most of that's debunked. I mean, Ukraine versus Russia, that led to it. Al Jazeera, that's a very reputable one. Looks like they are mostly reporting on the active things that are going on. So I guess we would have to really go deep down into their... because they have like a whole section for it. So that didn't work as well as I thought. Anna, if you could do me the favor of finding an article from Al Jazeera or another internationally reputable, not the BBC, not Fox News, not MSNBC. NPR might be a decent one, but can you find an article that shows the events that led up to the current Russian war? Not to derail the conversation. Actually, that would be a better conversation to have tomorrow, Nixo, because we're doing foreign affairs tomorrow. Today is actually domestic policy, but I don't want to come off as being afraid to have discussions. And as a streamer, I'm supposed to cater to the audience anyway, right? So, but I'm just letting you know that in this case, you are wrong. And I'm not trying to do it in a condescending way. I want to back up the reasons why you're wrong and help you in your political journey to help inform others. So maybe Anna will be able to find it today. Maybe she won't. I do encourage you to come tomorrow because she should have it by then. She's really good at research. I'm not. That being said, any crisis and any international intervention that we do as the United States of America, in which we provide military arms or armament to another country, or where the CIA undermines a democratically socialist elected whatever, is either a proxy or a coup that we initiate. And that is an absolute abject failure of democracy, for one, and diplomacy, for two. If we cannot get our ideal outcome without undermining a nation's sovereignty, then we have failed. Or what we were asking for was ridiculous and we shouldn't have been able to achieve it regardless, such as give us all your gold, your lithium, your resources, or we will kill you, right? It's not a reasonable negotiation. That's not reasonable diplomacy. Just saw politics tag here. Don't forget to copy my URL either. Only mistaken there's 2023 is written instead of 2013. I think normally we don't allow for URLs, so I didn't get your URL. Yeah, I think that's what those 3 asterisks were. That being said, we can continue this discussion tomorrow. So, but yeah, no, politics tag. I'm glad that's how we found it, because the politics channel has 238 viewers. Everyone. And nobody gets to see it. Like because it immediately, like, as it's not one that got approved. Like, it's not even one that could be approved. Like, I just ban URLs unless I'm the one posting it. I'm fairly certain. All of which is to say, I'm glad that the politics tag is gaining viewership, because the politics channel is not. Because I really have no idea. Should I be on just chatting? Like, I see talk shows and podcasts, The Legend of Zelda, Just Chatting, EverQuest, The Division 2, Medieval, PlanetSide. I mean, video games, right? But most of them are just chatting. And very few are actual politics, like the politics channel. So, anywho.
Elon Musk and Donald Trump are fighting again. They had a big blow up a few weeks back. They seem to have patched things over, but now, once again, they're arguing over legislation that Trump wants to see passed in Congress. Musk is upset because he says there's too much spending and not enough financial incentives for electric vehicles, which are produced by his company, Tesla. Trump says...
It's good to know. I think tomorrow, we'll just try the just chatting. And we'll do that for a couple weeks and see if we get a little bit more traction that way. Because I'm going to level with you. I am not a streamer. I don't have the temperament for streaming. I am very quick to block people. I'm very quick to call out people. I struggle with the engagement reading chat. Like I like when I play video games, just one, I'm also not very talented at video games. Like I'm decent, but I'm 35 years old and that's not my job. But like I'll be in the game, chat will be doing whatever, and I'll be like talking about what I'm doing in the game and ignoring chat for like 5 hours, and it's like, oh shit, chat. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not actually really good at streaming. What I am good at is addressing a crowd, running for office, and being an activist. But if you want to build a platform in the modern society, you got to be on social media, which I also hate, and you got to make content, which I loathe. And one of the ways to make content is to do streaming. So, plus it does help sometimes when there's non-disingenuous interaction like yours. Like right now, we're just having a difference of opinion on the timeline of the Ukraine-Russian conflict. We're not actually debating on that it's happening and that like there's not really good guys on either side, at least not yet. We're just discussing like the timeline of events, which is great. Like that's discourse. I'm happy to have discourse, right? It's just nice little back and forth. Now, if you start, Sieg Heiling or whatever, which I know through chat you couldn't, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's where that's like, okay, fine, block. Like no tolerance for that whatsoever. I enjoy the debate. I even tried doing a debate me hour, but like either we're not big enough or it's not something that people look for in the search to debate me. It didn't have the impact that I was hoping for. Because I want to discuss the nuance. I want to talk about why this is stupid, why this bill is terrible, and I want to debate somebody who thinks it's great so that I can prove to them why it isn't. Not that that would necessarily change their opinion, but it might change somebody else's opinion. You get where I'm going with this? That's what I want. But we got to get there first, right?
Musk is wrong. He threatened to harm Musk businesses, which receive a lot of federal subsidies. And once again, these two very powerful individuals are sniping at each other. Musk says there's two reasons he's opposed to this bill. One, he says there's too much spending and America is sliding towards bankruptcy. Secondly, more pressingly for his companies, he relies on a lot of federal incentives for people to buy electric vehicles. He runs Tesla, an electric vehicle manufacturer, and it could be a pretty significant hit to the bottom line if this goes forward.
Yeah, he didn't want the BBB, but he wanted it, and he doesn't want to lose his subsidies, and that's the first thing Trump threatened. There's something going on around saying Rachel Ziegler is in negotiations to be Maria in Sound of Music, and somehow said they hope the Germans capture her. Wow. Yeah, that's true. No, and honestly, I love that a lot of foreigners, that's actually kind of poignant, though. A lot of foreigners look at, and I say foreigners as if, like, you're the outsider here. You're an outsider to me in my domestic policies, but in your own country, I'm the foreigner, right? So I just find it interesting that people outside of the U.S. look for U.S. politics, because to them, it's like, wow. If we were living in ancient Rome and we were watching the Roman Empire just crumble to dust in real time, this is what it would look like. This is terrifying, but somehow I just need to watch it. Like I find it hilarious that that's how the rest of the world sees us. And honestly, I'm sure there is a bit of that of Americans too, looking at America from within. It's like, wow, so this is what it felt like to be a German during Nazi Germany. Or
Trump is not backing
an American
down
during slavery.
He says Musk should have known that he's always been opposed to these financial incentives for electric vehicles. And also he says that he could look for more cost savings by cutting more subsidies that Musk has relied on. At stake is really the future of the Republican Party right now. Musk has said he will back candidates that Trump does not like. Trump has threatened to retaliate against his former advisor. And people are really wondering, is this going to spiral further at this point?
You know, none of these have been juicy. I was hoping for the one where Trump said, yeah, maybe we'll deport him, because that's hilarious. I want to see that. Like a trashy reality show. I mean, I don't doubt it. Do not doubt it. Oh, is that the one?
Take a look at this.
I never
As
really
low
want to
as
hear him
$22
speak,
a
but
month
this
for
is going to be hilarious to hear.
company doesn't want.
Who? What happened to Elon Musk? Nothing. You know, he's upset that he's losing his EV mandate, and he's very upset about things, but he could lose a lot more than that. I can tell you right now. Hey, Elon can lose a lot more than that. I don't know. I think we'll have to take a look. We might have to put Doge on Elon. You know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of...
Wow. I don't want to listen to him speak. That actually makes me angry. But it is absolutely hilarious to me, personally, that these two narcissists, billionaire narcissists, are going at each other's throats publicly like this. And he actually, at the end of the day, has more power and authority than Musk, even though Musk has the $400 billion. Because he has a whole fucking army and death squad at his disposal. And that whole army and death squad seem very inclined to follow his orders. Which is great for us, by the way. Here's the thing. Fascism, terrifying. The erosion of democracy, terrifying. Undermining our constitution in real time and bragging about it, absolutely terrifying. The Nazi ICE Gestapo kidnapping brown people and trafficking them to death camps, horrifying. Just nightmare material. Every single one of our institutions, the erosion of checks and balances, women's rights just going out the window, turning into second-class citizens, absolutely nightmare fuel. What's hilarious, though, is that all of those things that I just mentioned that are absolutely devastating realities for everybody right now, is that they are extremely well publicly documented things that are happening right now. That are documented by not just Americans and American institutions, but also foreign powers and foreign institutions. Meaning that when, and I do emphasize when, this administration falls, and everybody who aided and abetted him says, oh yeah, we were never part of this, tries to say, oh, we weren't, or I was just following orders, there is going to be so much evidence to bring to bear against every single one of them in their trial for treason, corruption, bribery, blackmail, aiding and abetting fucking war crimes and human rights violations, and this, that, and the other. Not only just our constitution, but just international law as well. The Nuremberg trials equivalent is going to be biblical, and that will become a new holiday. That'll become a new U.S. holiday, and it will likely be memorialized with their corpses in some form or fashion being the primary display. That is the only silver lining in all of this cruelty and corruption. Hey, Blake Woods. The cruelty and corruption, the just blatant undermining of civil liberties, human rights, committing war crimes and atrocities, supporting, aiding, abetting, financing them, and doing it so publicly. Like, yes, they're tweeting. Yes, they're using Signal. Yes, they're on Facebook. Yes, they're on Truth Social. And they can delete those things, right? They can just straight up delete the entire platform and there's no way to recover those things. But that doesn't change the fact that people have screenshots. People, like you and me, have screenshots. People all over the world have screenshots. The fact that the news media has been reporting on this. Yeah, YouTube, Twitter, Truth Social, all these social platforms could just disappear overnight and all of their crimes with it, except for the people who downloaded that shit and screen recorded or screen captured and put that on their phones. When I come into my own with your support and we, the people, hold them accountable, we will have such a flood, an overwhelming flood of unedited evidence against this administration, everyone that's a part of the administration, everyone who aided, abetted, and voted for this administration, that the trials will be damn near performative in nature because the evidence will be so damning. No tribunal and no jury could ever not find them guilty. And then there's the executions, the death penalty. So as horrible and terrifying as it is to be a Latino, woman, brown, not white in this country right now, as terrifying as it is, the light at the end of the tunnel is we will emerge victorious at some point, whether that's a month from now, a year from now, or 3 years from now, because it will not exceed January 21st, 2029. That, I can assure you, at some point, we will be victorious. We, you and I, collectively will be victorious, and we will be holding them accountable. And that will be an historic moment of biblical proportions. The Hague trials, the Nuremberg trials. It's going to be either Los Angeles or New York City where they're being held, but technically Nuremberg and Hague were also being held simultaneously everywhere else across Europe, right? So we could hold them theoretically in every single major city and every capital city in the States, which would be like, I don't know, because not every major city is the capital of the state. So, you know, your 15 most populous cities, and then if those aren't the capitals, also the capitals, I think that's still around like 60 some cities. And yeah, at the Capitol building on their front lawns, that's where the guillotines shall be erected. Oh, didn't catch up. They offer, oh shit. It's coming. Trump is like a mafioso. Wasn't trying to give asylum to Musk. Yeah, actually, I think that was one of those things. It would be a shame if something happened to Elon's business subsidies and his citizenship, right? Yep, we caught up on that. They offer asylum to anyone that messes with the U.S. government, which is true because Edward Snowden is still in Russia. Russia is funny sometimes, not gonna lie. They'll do anything to piss us off. Right, because like what's America actually gonna do? Sanction Russia? Trump thinks this is his buddy. No, it's more like Trump is owned by Putin. The U.S. just canceled even more aid, including Patriot air defense to Ukraine, apparently. Right, because on the one hand, Trump pretends to be a hawk, but a dove, but not a dove, but actually not a hawk, but also neither one of those things, but are both at the same time. So it's like he's just really doing whatever will get him the most public approval, except his approval ratings are in the shitter regardless. Ronan 2028, yep. Why not overthrow the government and take it by force? Ronan 2026. I mean, that is exactly what the Second Amendment is there for, and what the Declaration of Independence itself resolves to allow. So we don't have to overthrow the government. A general strike for 90 days would still be pretty effective. Edward is in Russia. I thought he was hiding in Europe. Well, Russia is considered Europe. He's a bipolar bird. We tried sanctioning Russia and it did nothing. Yeah, Russia's the most sanctioned country in the world and it hasn't impacted them in a little bit. I mean, here's the thing. Everybody said that likes their guns that we should use our guns to stand up to tyranny, except tyranny is who they voted for. So the people with, or a large amount of the people with the guns voted for the tyranny that they said that they would fight against. Because they were led to believe that tyranny is having clean drinking water and access to health care. So that's where we are with that. Anywho. But now many leftists are getting guns. True. Yeah. Oh, so now we're getting into regular news. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so woman found dead in her apartment after got shut off.
An elegant touch.
Because
an everyday meal.
It's not a human right to have AC during a heat wave because profits matter more than human life.
Police say our extreme heat has apparently turned deadly now. A woman in St. Anne has died. Investigators suspect that dangerously hot weather was a factor.
Fox 2's Chris Hayes looking into the tragic death, which is being used now as a warning for others.
Pay your bills
or
you die.
At about 6 p.m. Monday, St. Anne police received a phone call from a relative of a victim who was living on the second floor of the apartment complex behind me off Wright Avenue.
We want to prevent something like this.
St. Anne Police Major Blake Kerrigan said they found a woman dead inside her sweltering hot.
This is the part that fucking kills me. This is a tragedy. We want to do something to prevent this. How about not making electricity a bill that people have to pay? There's a thought. There's an actual fucking thought. How about we just deprivatize electricity, water, plumbing, sanitation, healthcare, education, and residential spaces? How about we deprivatize those things? That is how you prevent this tragedy from happening, by not making it a for-profit venture. People will crypto mine on it. People don't even know what that is on average. And even if they did, who fucking cares? So what? Let them. Who cares?
Apartment. He said the victim's power had been turned off for non-payment for about 2 weeks.
She did have prior.
Yeah, and you're not getting rich off of that anyway. And if you can afford a crypto mining warehouse, you're not living in a shitty second floor apartment in a shitty part of town.
Medical conditions, so the medical examiner's office is checking into that.
Police say the victim's...
Yeah, but that's because in 2014... Well, actually, I don't know how you're not a multimillionaire, because if you mined in 2014, your Bitcoin should be worth millions of dollars right now. So you must have sold way too early.
Family did not want to be interviewed or share a picture of their loved one who died. 55-year-old Shauna Thomas.
I helped as much as I could.
Neighbor Joshua Davis says he was there to help a panicked relative.
Do I think the BBB will pass the House? I'm hoping not, because I'm on 10 care and so is my mom, and we both depend on it. Yeah, but it also depends on when you sold. I mean, I've used NiceHash in the past too, and I think, yeah, it doesn't generate much, but like, if I had been doing that in 2014, the amount that I was getting at the time would have been worth millions of dollars. So I regret not Googling Bitcoin.com, because that would have just made too much sense. It just never occurred to me that Bitcoin.com could have actually been the way to get Bitcoin early on. So, you know, fun things. Now, do I think the bill will pass in the House? Honestly, yes, I do. And I'm sorry. Like, I don't want it to pass, but I think it will, because it passed the Senate. Yeah, 3 Republican senators crossed the party line, and then J.D. Vance was the deciding factor, and then it passed and went back to the House. The thing is, let's see. Partisan divide in the U.S. House. I don't think it's sufficient enough. $220 Republicans, 212 Democrats. If all they need is a 50% plus one, they got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's 3 vacancies as well, which are 3 Democrats who died earlier this year. And even if those went Democrat again, that's 215 Democrats versus 220 Republicans with 5. They need 5 that won't float. Now, 5's not a large number. You could possibly convince 5 people, except can you convince every Democrat to vote against it? Can you convince every Republican to vote for it? That's the problem. And I think enough Democrats would jump ship and enough Republicans would try and save their own ass that they would still end up passing it. Because that's how fucked we are as a country and how utterly corrupt our Congress is. Because look at them. They are not 128 Democrats crossed party lines to not impeach Donald Trump. Despite 7 months of blatant criminal activity, of undermining the Constitution, and just violating everything we ever stood for. So no, I unfortunately do believe this would pass. Well, see, that's why trading sucks, Nixo. You can't trade emotionally. I found that out the hard way too. The GOP has a narrow majority. It was just a $2,000 PC investment that paid off. There you go. Because what do I do if I lose my insurance? I'm diabetic and bipolar. I need effing meds. Oh, see, what'll happen is you will die, and your senator will smirk about it as they get on their elevator. Because that's literally what's happening. People are literally, like, confronting their senator, their congressman, and saying, people are actually going to die. And they're like, not my problem. But it actually is, because you were elected to represent the people you were going to allow to die. So, yeah. And I'm not trying to be a dick, Blake. Like, I don't want you to die. I think you're a swell person. I'm just like, but that's the reality. That's why I'm saying, like, we are Nazi Germany. Like, we aren't like step 1 out of 10. Like, we're 10. We're Nazi Germany, folks. Like, we're Nazi Germany. We are no different than Nazi Germany right now. We're not. We're building the concentration camps in-house. We've already sent them to death camps. We've already sent people to death camps. We're going and creating political prisoners. We're targeting political dissidents. We're sending unmarked, masked goons to kidnap, terrorize, and traffic people. Like, we're Nazis, folks. Like, I'm going to riot if this bill passes. I honestly hope you and at least 11.4999 million other people do as well, because, like, that's what it's going to take. Like, yeah, right. We are at the final solution. And people who are on the spectrum, who are not white and male, and not good tax-paying citizens, like, they're going to be out the window. Like, this is... I don't really know how else to explain to folks that we're dealing with really bad shit in the worst way possible right now. The time for a revolution was yesterday. Yeah. Today's a good time to revolt, but yesterday was the actual time to do it. Tomorrow is too late. Like, I think that's how that little phrase goes. But
I allow him to use my phone to call the ambulance.
You never know, and I'm sorry to hear about things that go on like that.
Colby Chapman says it's a reminder to check on your neighbors.
It's not a reminder to check on your neighbors, and I know we keep like jumping like ADHD shit on here, but this woman died because her AC was shut off because she couldn't afford the bill. You don't have to check on your neighbors. We just need to not be privatizing things that can cause people to fucking die. And call me a socialist or a communist. Like, do I support capitalism? No, because it's literally a fucking death cult for profit. Fuck you.
The fastest growing scam of 2025 is spreading like wildfire and wiping out bank accounts in seconds.
Oh my God, shut up.
As you plan activities for the upcoming July 4th holiday, health experts say to be aware of a
the
new
liberals
COVID
are
variant
complicit.
that's spreading, and it could lead
and
to
the worst part is they have all of the unification, organization, and energy to tear down leftists that you like. I have never seen Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries so energized than when they were trying to tear down Zoran's win. Never seen them more energized than attacking a leftist. Like, fuck them.
a summer wave of the virus. Reporter Mandy Gaither has what to know about the new variant and the defining symptom to look for.
It's related to the Omicron variant. NB181, nicknamed Nimbus, is spreading in the U.S., now causing more than 40% of COVID-19 cases, according to the latest CDC data.
It is a little bit more infectious and contagious than kind of the last couple of versions that we have seen before. So we're seeing a pretty rapid rise in the number of cases related to Nimbus.
Dr. Carrie Horn with National Jewish Health says as people gather to celebrate the July 4th holiday, there's an increased chance for the virus to spread even more. She says in addition to the symptoms with previous variants like fever, runny nose and congestion, some shortness of breath, cough, and body aches.
After this weekend
the defining
again.
symptom for this variant is what she calls a razor blade sore throat.
It is really intense, and it can last for a couple of days. And it's even as bad as like when you're just swallowing your saliva, just normal swallowing. It doesn't have to be with food or liquids or anything. Just super intense pain.
To slow the spread of this variant, Horn says to stay home if you're having symptoms.
Well, we've already seen that Americans are just not going to fucking do that.
Continue washing hands. If you're at high risk of getting severely sick, she recommends getting the updated COVID-19 vaccine.
The real benefit of the vaccine is keeping people out of the hospital and preventing severe illness and death. So anybody who's high risk, I strongly recommend getting the vaccine.
Oh, sorry. What did I auto mod on you? Fraud. Heh. Why would I ban fraud? That might not have been... Oh, because that's auto mod. Oh, I also put it on level 4. Maximum filtering. Bullying and aggression, I think, is probably where that comes in. Nah, we're going to keep it that way. Because I don't want somebody to write the N-word on here or something like that. I'm not even taking risks like that. Put it on level 3 or 2. Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't think it's going to allow the N-word on there, but I know it's a very PG chat room. I'm sorry, guys. Ninja. Because no, don't change it. I'm telling you not to change it. Do not touch it. I will change it back. But yeah, well, yes, if it's actually flagged, you can approve it on a case-by-case basis, is what I'm saying. Like, you can do that, but you're not changing the standard here, ma'am. So COVID is still a thing. It's just, instead of killing you, it's just going to make your life miserable. Wonderful. Oh, and of course, it wouldn't be American politics in a week or American news within the past week if we didn't have an active shooter
a deadly
murdering
ambush
people.
In Idaho. At least 2 firefighters were killed after responding to a brush fire.
And you know what kills me?
Our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman.
Like, no active shooting is ever good, right? No active shooting is ever good. I have never heard, or maybe I just haven't heard of it, but like, this motherfucker ambushed firefighters who responded to a fire that he set. Why the fuck would you target firefighters? Like, bro, they are the only, them and fucking first responders, like medical first responders, are the only good people on our tax dollars. The girls are fighting. First of all, you better put some respect in my name.
And joins us with the latest. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Robin. Early afternoon yesterday, firefighters arrived near a routine local trailhead for what they thought was a routine wildfire. Instead, they began taking gunfire. 2 were killed, a 3rd wounded. A massive force of heavily armed law enforcement arriving, hikers sheltering in place. But that sniper, lethal and elusive, kept firing. Hours later, authorities finding him dead.
This was a total ambush. These firefighters did not have a chance.
It was 1:21 p.m. Sunday, and firefighters were responding to a...
I said put respect on my name. I didn't say anything about not being one of the girls. If that's how I win votes and fight the revolution, by saying all the ladies of the world, let's come together and unite and start doing my Beyonce whatever, then fuck it. As I get copyright struck down for quoting Beyonce.
routine wildfire call racing to this black smoke scene off a local trailhead.
Right now, there's an active shooter zone.
But as firefighters prepared to battle the flames, suddenly shots ringing out from the hills
in fucking
above.
Idaho.
They're shot. Everybody's shot up here. Law enforcement, code 3 now up here.
2 firefighters were killed, another wounded.
You needed that much
ambushed.
I'm pinned down behind Battalion 1's rig. It's clear to me that this fire was set intentionally to draw us in.
Sirens heard throughout the neighborhood as roughly 300 law enforcement and first responders from Idaho and Washington state raced to the scene.
First really started hearing the sirens as far as kind of going up and down there. And immediately just kind of the tension really just kind of went up as far as all around town.
Officials delivering their grim assessment.
We do believe that the suspect started the fire, and we do believe that it was an ambush and it was intentional.
A standoff ensuing, officers exchanging fire with the suspect as helicopters with snipers scanning the forest as authorities tracked cell phone data which stayed in the same spot since 3:16 p.m., eventually finding the man dead with a weapon nearby.
We had to scoop up that body, and we had to transport that body to a different location.
And some residents forced to shelter in place for over...
So there were 300 cops, and they can't even claim that they were the ones that shot him dead? So what, this dude sniped out a couple of firefighters, heard the popo coming, offed himself, and they had 300 cops there with a helicopter flying around for 3 hours before they actually got him? What the flying fuck? No, I don't think I was frozen. I told you guys, listen, I am on the spectrum. We are capable of just being... when we're focused, okay? Like, I was watching that. I was listening. I was like this. It's why I'm a terrible streamer when I'm gaming. Do you know how hard it is to actually talk while playing a video game? Like, all you have to basically channel ADHD. It's like, oh, look, we just crossed this river. Oh, I hope I don't get wet. Haha, silly me. Splish splash, motherfucker. Oh, look, let's go pick up this plant. Oh, yeah, we got to go do that. Oh, shit, I just got attacked by a cyborg. Ah! Like, do you realize that when I am, like, on vacation or it's a weekend, I don't speak. Like, you would not hear my voice for weeks at a time. Like, it got to the point where when I was unemployed and I was not streaming and all I was doing was watching anime and playing video games and games where I wouldn't get angry, I hadn't heard my voice in like a solid week, and I was actually kind of certain that yeah, we can go ahead and kick him. Definitely a troll. I didn't hear the sound of my own voice for a week, and I thought maybe I lost the ability to speak. Like, I play silently. I'm like this. Like, ridiculous, you know? So yeah, me sitting there while watching a video is going to look like this. I have to remind myself that I need to address it. So, yeah, absolutely insane shit. So, sorry, it's not always the internet's fault or this software's fault. Sometimes I'm just autistic. Well, that's the thing. There's all sorts of reasons why Palestine isn't free, but it's not an opinion, it's a fact, and that is not a genuous discourse. That is very disingenuous discourse, and we don't feed the trolls here. Oh, that's still the
a brand new 2025 air conditioning system that we just finished.
Now to the protests over a new detention center in the Florida Everglades dubbed Alligator Alcatraz.
Yeah, I'm sure you love it until you're like, wait, is he still there? From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, and Israel will be brought before The Hague.
Indigenous leaders are at the forefront of the protest, saying it encroaches on sacred lands that are protected. Environmentalists are also opposing the construction. Here's ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang.
Tonight, demonstrators lining the streets protesting plans to turn a remote airfield in the Everglades into the latest migrant detention facility.
So, again, with the media doing the propaganda work for the propaganda machine, it is not a migrant detention facility. It is a concentration camp. It is a trafficking facility. It is an unlawful detention center. You can say that. You could say that, but you're giving it legitimacy by calling it a new migrant detention facility. It's not. It's unlawful. It violates literally federal law. It literally violates the 14th Amendment. There's no justification for it, and it is actually going to be used. It's called Alligator Alcatraz that can hold up to 5,000 people. An actual facility that could actually, according to our regulations, actually hold 5,000 people would be something like a massive, massive Amazon warehouse. Massive Amazon warehouse. And it would have to have the living spaces, communal spaces, eating facilities, rec facilities, all this, that, and the other to accommodate 5,000 people, which is the population of towns in America. Like, there are towns in America with this population who have mayors and sheriffs and police departments and schools and restaurants. You're talking about building a city to place 5,000 people in.
Officials say operations will start on Tuesday and eventually hold up to 5,000. White tents already visible.
Our lives depend on this Everglades. And, bringing this facility here is disrupting everything.
Environmental activists join Native Americans to call for the protection of their ancestral homelands as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis pushes ahead.
Clearly, from a security perspective, if someone escapes, there's a lot of alligators you're going to have to contend. No one's going anywhere, once you do that. It's as safe and secure as you can be.
The Department of Homeland
Is Nixo still here? As a foreigner, as someone who is not an American, is this funny? Like, because I think this would be hilarious if I wasn't in America. But then again, even if I wasn't in America and I knew American history and US imperialism, and then I saw this happening in America, I don't think I could even find it funny there, because I'm fairly certain this would be terrifying and just extremely indicative of how far fucking gone the United States has come, to where we're literally not. Are we actually going to give like alligators badges and shit? No, obviously not. But we're actually using them as part of the defense mechanism of a location. Like, that's not okay. This is hilarious in the sense that, like, but actually terrifying. I showed my booty on cam. Well, I got to do a little bit of thirsting to get people to come onto the stream here. Can we get as organized as a certain other group that did a certain thing on January 6th and just do something already? For legal reasons, this is a hypothetical joke, by the way. No, because we can organize and do things like they did on January 6th, but we actually don't do what they did. We just do a general strike. We do a general strike and we march on our state capitals. That's what January 6th did. Now, granted, a few of them got violent and killed people, but that's not okay. But they organized, they protested, they invaded the Capitol building, and they took it over. If we did that as a general strike, which would be, and we did it peacefully, then that's covered by the First Amendment. Done deal.
Security teasing their plans for the so-called Alligator Alcatraz, the facility part of President Trump's efforts to ramp up deportations by expanding detention capacity. In highly controversial moves, Trump has already sent migrants to Guantanamo Bay and the mega prison in El Salvador. In recent weeks, more violent arrests caught on camera from coast to coast. This man thrown to the ground and arrested by ICE agents in California. His 3 sons, all U.S. Marines. And just days ago, the Supreme Court ruled to dramatically limit the ability of federal judges to check presidential power, allowing Trump to move forward with plans to end birthright citizenship, though the legal battle continues. I spoke to this pregnant, undocumented mother who did not want to show her face on camera.
Yeah, but for legal reasons, the First Amendment covers peaceful protests, and I'm running for president. And, well, I am the president. Haha, not running. I am. With people like your support, we too can become the president. All of which is to say, that would be inciting violence, and that's a crime.
She tells me she's uncertain and scared, even though her baby will
For
be
legal
protected
reasons,
from
I have
the
to
ruling,
debate you on
since
that.
she's part of one of the plaintiff groups in the case. But she says she's
I think
afraid
the
for all
PSL
the other
people did reach out to me
children born on
before,
US
and then they
soil
fucked me
who
right
may
off.
not become citizens.
And Lindsay, the Trump administration is ending temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands of Haitian immigrants, claiming that the country is now safe enough for them to return to. But the State Department is still warning Americans not to travel to Haiti because of gang violence, murder, and crime. Lindsay?
Selena Wang from the White House. Thank you.
Let's see. The state is reactionary. No more presidents is the anti-capitalist stance. I mean, quite frankly, you're not wrong in that at this point, what the fuck? I thought I hit pause.
Tonight, legal.
Is she fucking Heil Hitlering? No. Okay. No. Is she?
Challenges loom.
Oh, okay, no, she's holding a sign. I was like, lady. I get that, as a politician, as somebody who's in political spaces, especially on the internet, that I'm going to run into people who are extremely left-leaning and extremely right-leaning. And both of those individuals fundamentally want the same thing, which is less government oversight, influence, and oppression over their lives. Right? That being said, humanity hasn't evolved to a point where we can't have a centralized leadership system. Ideally, all of our needs would be met. Ideally, all of our resources would be converted to the public good. And consumption would be by the needs of the individual, and the individual would not feel compelled to take excess. And government would only exist to further the goals and needs of the many and coordinate people's interests. If government existed at all. That's idealism, though. And that might be the future of humanity. And 300 or 400 years if we survive that long. But realistically, we're nowhere close to that yet. And socially speaking, do you really think definitely not in America, so I'm not even going to say America, but do you even think like people in Japan or Sweden who have objectively significantly better social circumstances than we do, have most of their basic needs met, do you think the average Japanese person or the average Swedish person could function in society as a laborer, as like part of their just regular livelihood, if there wasn't some sort of centralized infrastructure there? And I'm asking that seriously because why do we have jobs? Right? Why do industries exist? Would you work if you didn't have to? Would you work? Would you passionately pursue a career as a warehouse employee driving forklifts, or working in a factory doing monotonous brain rot work? Would you actually do that? Would you be a farmer, tending your fields, hand picking your agriculture? Here's the thing. Our society and most of our cultures cannot fathom activity without any sort of otherwise benefit. We can call it selfishness. We can call it whatever you want. But without an incentive to do something, or a passion to do it, people don't. Government and economics, i.e. money, are the reason why people do anything in the world as we know it. In order for a complete dismantling of government to include the president, mayors, Congress, people would have to be objectively inclined without force by an outside entity of their own volition to participate in the infrastructure development that is every institution, every form of economics, every form of industry on their own with no oversight and no prodding and no regulation. And then do all of that altruistically. We're not in any form or fashion close to doing that. So you can say that all you want, that a real leftist and a real revolutionary wants to dismantle the entire Constitution, the presidency, and government in general, but that's okay. Are you going to run the plant? Are you going to keep going to work? Are you going to make sure that people are following the rules and not cutting corners? Well, they'll just do it. And what if when they don't? Well, they'll be shunned by their community. How are they going to justify it? There's no laws, no rules, no way to enforce them. Well, it'll be rule of the people by the people, true democracy. And when that devolves into chaos, who's going to put an end to that? Well, the people would never do that. Okay, but when they do, well, we are not evolved enough as a species to handle no government. We're not. On an individual level, yes. On an individual level, on a tribal level, like people who start communes or people who gather like, hey, I'm an electrician, you're a plumber, I'm a welder, carpenter, blah, blah, blah. Together we can build a house, a community, whatever else. Yeah, those people, they're good. They're good to go. Let them run rampant. Everybody else are selfish, entitled, soft pieces of garbage who would die within minutes of being sent into the wild. Who would not be able to fend for themselves if there wasn't some sort of structure guiding them. That's just, and most people, especially in America, are so overworked and stressed that they would choose not to work over even working for the greater good because they don't believe in the greater good. America fundamentally does not believe in community. It doesn't. Immigrants in America who come from a country whose society believes in community does, but Americans don't. Yes. True Steel, he is. That's the problem. That's one of the things we just covered. Or that was the, I'm sorry. That was one of the things, the videos we just watched. My apologies. Economics isn't when money, good meme, and bad faith interpretation of no president by assuming there's no organizations as well as no other way to express creating desires without coercion of state violence. We can generate desires through purpose. You are a hella capitalist, realist, and idealist. Hope one day you pick of a dialectical material. Well, I didn't actually say what I believed. I said, in a system without government or regulation or oversight in modern society, it wouldn't work because we are not evolved enough to handle that. Because you would have to have people who are emotionally intelligent and mature enough to act in the greater good of a community and not just their own selfish interests. That's the bottom line. And if you don't have a president or a national figurehead of some sort, if you don't have a government infrastructure at any level, there is no enforcement of when things go south. That's not me being capitalist or, what did you say? Liberal idealism stance. that's fucking reality, buddy. Like that's literally taking your point, dismantling it piece by piece, and showing you why each piece is fundamentally flawed with your reasoning. Now, if you're talking about a Star Trek society, that's still a central government with a elected system where merit, true merit, allows you to rise through society, through your accomplishments. But that's still biased, because just because everybody has the same access to resources, healthcare, food, and education doesn't mean they actually do, because in reality, right, there is still the haves and the have-nots, even in the Star Trek Federation. Like, just because James Tiberius Kirk ended up being a captain of the USS Enterprise because he was a genius, his father before him was still in the military, bruv. He's in the caste. Star Trek Federation is still a caste system. The Vulcans, they are a caste system. And a sociocracy, a scientocracy, I don't even know if there's a word for that, where they venerate technology and science over everything else, to include emotion. Like, what? I mean, Blake, I am saying that. I am absolutely saying that true communism and true socialism, we're nowhere close to. And that even the examples of post-utopian society like Star Trek are still not good examples of communism or socialism, because there's still castes within those societies. Yeah, and right, Zachap is saying we don't need leadership at all, which that's just that. Okay. I think Zach is, or Zachap is ANCOM or something along those lines. So now you're just throwing the word bad faith around as if that gives you any sort of credibility or a leg to stand on with your argument? All you're doing is saying I'm wrong, as I am repeatedly dismantling your argument that you provided in text, in chat. I am dismantling your argument that you provided in chat the way you provided it in chat, and going back and forth, giving you multiple different reasons as to why, multiple different examples, both fictional and historical, as to why it won't work, as well as different cultural reasons why it won't work, and you're just saying I'm acting in bad faith. Bruv. So anywho. Oh, shit.
As Florida scrambles to complete the isolated detention center dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. Deep in the Everglades, dump trucks today rolling right past hundreds of protesters.
Because we can't have a central leader, but if you disagree with me, the central leader and thought ideology dictation, then you're bad faith. Like, his own behavior proves my point that we don't have the emotional maturity to handle a true communal-based society in which there is no need for direction or leadership or centralization of power or direction of resource allocation. Well, you don't agree with my ideology, so you're bad faith. You're proving my point. No, we couldn't easily overthrow the government, because if we could, that shit would have happened already, and COVID would have been the time where it happened. And those No Kings protests would have been the second opportunity. Yeah, buddy, please unfollow me, because I at no point have even said vote blue no matter who. What? I'm lost. I mean, I feel like he's just derailing the stream here at this point. But I mean, go off, fam. Jesus. I haven't... See, that's what I'm saying. Horseshoe theory, right? If you're far right or you're far left, you end up sounding the same and wanting the same things, right? Just with some fundamental differences. Oh, did I miss that part, Blake? But the CIA, you're right. You know what, Blake? Mea culpa. I did not finish reading your sentence. That was my bad. You did in fact specify, but the CIA is in the way. You are correct. You are correct. The CIA, the FBI, and other agencies do in fact infiltrate the movements. You know what's even funnier about that is that their not dissertation, but their dossier on ANCAP movements and organizations state that it is difficult to infiltrate these organizations because they are neither they don't have jobs, they don't stay in one place very often, and they have no connection to material values, so we can't even bribe them. Like, it's so fucking funny to me. It's like ANCAPs are just angry, homeless people that work just enough to not die. And the CIA is like, this is really fucking hard to get into. And it's like, ungovernable, baby. Let's go. I don't know if the CIA and FBI are number one. I'd say the Democrats are, actually. I think the Democrats are the number one reason why we can't organize. They either co-opt or undermine every movement. And whatever movement they can't co-opt or undermine, the CIA and FBI labels terrorists. And comms. Yeah, I'm honestly, once we get into the anarchy side of things, I barely even try to understand what the communists are thinking about, because a lot of them sound just as unhinged as our boy who just unfollowed us publicly to make sure that we knew he unfollowed us. Well, technically, so is the CIA and journalism in America. So, I mean, chillin' jazz. Holy shit. Thank you. Bro, thank you. By the way, yes, we are an affiliate stream, so you can subscribe to us, and I hope you haven't been dealing with ads, because nobody has said anything about ads, but still, I do appreciate it. I'm never going to ask for the subs, but I do appreciate it. And oops, were you not trying to gift? I think I can return that. Subscriptions. I don't know where I would though. Stream together, streaming tools, settings, stream, channel, moderation, survey. No. Oh, why was he so angry, bro? I have no fucking clue, bro. It went to the chap who claimed to have unfollowed you? What? I thought it... Oh, no. Well, that's not good. Well, if he unsubscribed... So, wait. Fuck it. It's okay. Well, it's not okay. Oh, shit, it did go to him. What the fuck? Gifted. Community analytics. You can't select who you gift it to? Monetization. I could have sworn I can reimburse shit. I can only make more money, apparently. So what? I can take your money, but I can't give it back to you? That's stupid. Dude, I am very sorry. I don't actually see a way to change it. I also don't see a way. Payouts. Where's the payouts section? Maybe that's where it would be. Home? This is how often I don't look at that. You didn't realize he got banned? I'm trying to find... Wouldn't it be under settings somewhere? Channel. Moderation. Survey. It's not that. Affiliate? Change payout method. Well, I don't want to change that. The agreement. Terms of sale. This is probably where you're fucked, dude. Spendable balance, subscription services. Cancellation. You may cancel your sub service at any time by selecting do not renew. Oh. Well, fuck. Refunds. When you make a purchase on or receive a gift through Twitch services, including in third-party extensions, you have immediate access to and use of the ancillary products and services you have purchased. Accordingly, to the extent permitted by applicable law, our policy is not to allow cancellations after a person... Oh, fuck. And not to offer refunds, including without limitation, sub-service fees. While we may sometimes provide exceptions where a refund or other consideration is granted to some or all users, the amount and form of such credits and the decision to provide them are in our sole discretion. So, maybe he'll change his mind and say, you know what? Maybe Sam was right. I would not hold your breath. But now you're scared to go in a stream. Hey, be like, hey, bro. I'm gonna want my tree fitty back. You owe me tree fitty, motherfucker. Shit. Anyway, so you learned a lot about Marxism, Leninism there. That's the thing. We didn't learn anything about Marxism or Leninism there. Because he didn't talk about it. All he did was throw a fit. He was a pigeon who took a shit on a chessboard, flipped it over, and left like he won. I'm like, okay. So I do know about communism. It is where the state owns and controls the means of production. For each according to his ability, to each according to their means. Meaning, nobody is poor, but nobody is rich. Everybody gets everything that they need. Granted, that's determined by the state, which ideally is representative of the people. Communism, I believe, has elections, but don't quote me on that because I'm not entirely certain. And Marxism also eliminates all forms of privatization, like all of it. No private property. The communist toothbrush is like the most funny one. But it's honestly capitalism, communism, and socialism all fundamentally have the same core central infrastructure. It's just who fucking gets paid, who does the regulation, and who benefits the most from it. Socialism, people control everything, people get paid, and people benefit the most from everything. Communism is the state, and capitalism is the capitalist. Like this isn't rocket science. I know there's more nuance, but fundamentally, that's the difference. Socialism, everything is popular vote. Everything. We want to stop producing single-ply toilet paper. All in favor? Aye. All against? Nay. Nay. Why did the nays win? I like the rough feel and texture of sandpaper between my ass cheeks, and I like to do the little bit of finger digging. And I don't like that fluffy stuff. It doesn't get the wipe. It just doesn't wipe real nice. It feels soft, feels nice, but it just doesn't get that rough and tumble grit to get the shit out of my ass cheeks. So we need that single ply. Ruffle it up and scrape it right out of my butthole. Wow, that's gross. But the nays have it, so we're still doing it. Also, interestingly, the Death Star also had an overwhelming support to build a weapon of mass destruction that can destroy planets. And because 90% of you motherfuckers voted for this, this is now happening. Alrighty then. It's not like there is no perfect ism. There is no ideal breakdown of society. The only thing that is ideal is that we grow as human beings, mature mentally and emotionally enough to where no matter what the ism is, we aren't fucking each other over. So if there is an ideal ism, it is one in which there is recognized leadership that guides the intent of the masses, which is self-preservation, growth, prosperity, exploration, development, education, entertainment, art, and procreation. Okay? That's the ideal, is where you can trust that this body is going to ensure these things happen, and that when these things happen, it doesn't devolve into whatever psychopathy is on this extreme side or this extreme side. The pendulum swinging like this is the problem. We need the pendulum to swing like this. Nice little vibration in the middle, right? Innovation and progress needs to be the foundation of any of the isms, or whatever ism we want to call it. If the founding principle is not progress, innovation, and community, as in, not fuck you, I got mine, but fuck everybody if we don't get everything, right? Like, no. Fuck you if we don't get everything. Yeah, there we go. Haha. That's the ism we need. But that's not socialism. That's not communism. And that, sir, as fuck, is not capitalism. Because communism is the state telling you, or getting elected to be told what that is, where people really still don't have a say in the means of production. And socialism is every 330 million Americans always deciding on something, which, how's anything ever going to get done, right? Let's just be honest. If we all had to agree, and we all had to vote collectively, as in, did not vote wasn't an option anymore, you think we're going to agree on fuck all? And it's still a dichotomy, yes or no. It's still black or white, yes or no. And that's the problem we're facing right now. So no, there needs to be some sort of collective that reduces the collective to a representation, but that representation is held to an extremely high set of regulations, rules, and responsibilities that are enforceable, and that if they don't, they are removed. Whatever that ism is what we ideally need, until we don't even need that anymore because society progresses on its own. Like, we just have inventors and scientists, and the science happens, and the technology happens, and the art happens, and the education happens, and it's collaborative. It's like, hey, we can just make this a little bit better. Yeah, we should. Let's do that. Like, once we can get to a point where we don't need people representing us so that we can make decisions more effectively, instead of trying to convince 330 million people to do something every single fucking time, which is why the Athenian democracy failed. It's because Athenians could not agree on anything, which led to the Peloponnesian Wars, which is how Sparta dominated Greece, which allowed for Iskandar the Great to unite Greece through conquest, violence, and bloodshed, and then wage war against Persia. Unless I'm getting that backwards. Either way, Samuel Ronanism for the win. Y'all are trying to make me out to be some sort of narcissistic, self-aggrandized cult leader that I'm not. I said I don't care what we call it. That doesn't mean name it after me, all right? Although I guess Marxism was named after Karl Marx, wasn't it? And Leninism was... Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. So, as the 48th president, my form of leadership and administration and government will earn its own name post-mortem because of its efficacy and uniqueness compared to all of the other forms of leadership. I don't mind if it's posthumous, but don't name it after me while I'm alive, please. Anna, if you want to be in charge of stuff, we can switch this around right fucking now. I will be your Doug Stamper, and you can be the face of the revolution. You are an attractive Latina. You just said me for dictator 2032. You literally just said that. Look up. It's right. Look, it's right there. It is right there on the screen. You said it. JK. Well, you said it. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to be in charge of this mess. I mean, it is a mess that we have to fucking clean up. Somebody's got to clean up, and I don't see anybody else doing the cleaning or the upping. And Zoran isn't eligible. Like, he doesn't even have the whole argument that, well, according to my calculations and because of an accident of my birth and so on and so forth, I could be the president. I just need to get my citizenship updated properly. He doesn't even have that going for him. Like, he's straight up not from here. All of which is to say, it's definitely not AOC. It's clearly not Bernie. It's definitely not Hakeem. It's not the Cuomos. Like, it's not Newsom. So, yeah. Leia is more likely to be president. Yep. So long as there's still a country for her to run for.
Development.
What does this land mean to you?
Ideally, the work that we're doing here will.
Environmental advocates are suing DHS and the state, alleging the site did not get an environmental review required by federal law.
We are for the earth. We are
the land's native people, central to calls to preserve this delicate ecosystem.
And see, this is the other part, right? Okay, so back onto the actual topics of the stream here. U.S. policy and news. Ugh. Let me just, not die real quick. So they're pushing alligator Alcatraz, and they're not even following the established rule of law that exists for this kind of planning, but they don't care. Because if they cared about the rule of law, they wouldn't be pushing for this in the first place. So it's like, yes, this protest is valid. Yes, everything they're saying matters, but if nobody is going to hold the administration accountable or the governor accountable, then what do we got going here? She does. I mean, she was also named after Princess Leia. But yeah, like, here's the thing that kills me too, right? Like, so this alligator Alcatraz has not gone through the proper process at all. But the governor, who's literally in charge of enforcing the process, is saying, well, fuck it, we're going to make it anyway, right? So that's a checks and balance that has failed. The federal government wants to do something within state jurisdiction, and the state has the right and the obligation to say no, and they aren't. So what's the next check and balance? The state legislator and the state legislator, yes. The legislative branch of the federal branch, which is Congress. And then, of course, the judiciary, SCOTUS, and the state level courts. Except we've seen SCOTUS shoot all this shit down before, and then allow it, and then shoot it down, and then allow it, and then shoot it down, but has never actually been able to enforce anything because, as we're finding out, no is a complete sentence, and that's, I mean, okay, I wish I could go further than that. Like, that's the end of the argument. The Supreme Court says, you shall obey. The Trump administration said, no. And the Supreme Court said, unless the Supreme Court is able to and willing to activate some sort of federal law enforcement agency to arrest the administration or the cabinet secretary responsible for carrying out the administration's agenda that is flagrantly disobeying the Supreme Court, then the Supreme Court doesn't matter. Here's the thing. You get a speeding ticket. You show up to traffic court. The judge says you owe $300 for your fine. And you say no. You go to jail right then and there. You don't have a choice. Why? Because the judge is going to order the bailiff or any other officer that happens to be there, but I think it's typically called the bailiff, to arrest you, throw you into the pokey until you change your fucking mind. And then when you do change your mind, he's like, and for wasting my time, that's going to be an additional $300. Now, what's the difference between you saying no and the administration saying no? The threat of violence and consequences. Oh, not just the threat, but the actual willingness to carry out that threat. You said no, you disregarded this court, we're going to use violence, sanctioned by the state, to strip you of your freedom until you comply. And that's how our criminal justice system works, folks. And it's funny because it also works against billionaires when they're finally caught and fucked and just there's no way to buy themselves out of it, right? It even fucks the rich people because the rich people are like, they could afford a defense squad, shall we say? But then they're going to be on the run for the rest of their lives. And let's be honest, their prison sentence isn't going to be, they're not going to be in Gen Pop in a regular prison. They're going to be in a federal prison, if not on house arrest forever or something, right? Like, so again, unless the Supreme Court is willing to physically arrest and detain Trump or any member of his administration, then anything they say is meaningless. And that should terrify you, because that completely disregards and undermines the checks and balances systems of the Constitution, because there is no fucking way that the Founding Fathers ever conceived of a notion in which the United States of America would be so compromised that all three branches of government would be complicit in oppression of the people. And I'm not saying the Founding Fathers were perfect. They're not. They thought black people were 3/5 of a person. And they didn't grant women the right to vote from the very beginning anyway. So, like, flawed. So back to Blake's and pop culture's point, and I guess even to a degree, Zachap's point, is why don't we just tear this shit up and write it over again? Well, that's all great and dandy, except, like, if you rewrite it, and you include all the things, right? You still have to account for the possibility that what if every single safety mechanism you put into place failed? What then? Unless you write unambiguously, the people shall always have the right to overthrow any level of government that oppresses them, violates their rights, and no longer takes their voice and their will seriously in their duties to represent them, shall never, ever be infringed, and any attempts to do so shall result in the immediate removal of said elected official or power authority from position and sentence them to death for treason, then you don't have a constitution for, of, and by the people. You have a piece of paper and a hope. I'm not saying the Constitution is bad or weak or wrong or needs replaced. I'm saying we are seeing the biggest glaring flaw in it, which is that there is no fundamental protection for civil liberty. That if all three branches of government were to become compromised, what then? Yeah, it's implied through the Declaration of Independence that you can overthrow your government, and it is implied through the Second Amendment, and it is implied through the First, but it is not explicit. And even though it's implied in the Ninth, it's not explicit. And of course, if you tried, you would die. As an individual, of course. So, and there's no explicit repercussions for violating it either, because the idea would be that you would be recalled or removed from power and office by your own peers, and even that's not happening. So when we say this is a constitutional crisis, this is not hyperbole. This is fact. This is the glaring crisis within our Constitution, is that when the chips fall, the cards are shown, and everybody's complicit, there is no stopping it. Not unless it's actual revolution. Because none of the agencies, none of the branches are willing to do anything about this. So, all of which is to say, chat disappeared all of a sudden. So did I freeze? Did I lose you?
This is a place where we come for healing, where we look for our herbs, where we come to pray.
Protesters here draw the line at developing this delicate ecosystem, but no amount of chants or signs or honks is stopping this near constant stream of construction racing to finish this site by next week. New views from above show the dizzying pace of construction. Trailers and tents intended to hold thousands of migrants as ICE looks for more capacity to support President Trump's deportation goals.
Any sense that somehow...
Okay. Again, this right here, not the point that I was making earlier, but this right here, the concentration camps in Alligator Alcatraz, we're only expanding ICE agencies and detention facilities because the administration has mandated a 3,000 person per day goal. Or maybe that is embellished. There's no fucking way that's the capita. What is the current ICE daily quota? Oh. Wow. Okay, I thought I was embellishing. It is literally 3,000. It is literally, according to Reuters, the New York Post, Substack, which I think Substack is like medium, but yeah, no. It is 1,000. It is actually, they are actually shooting for 3,000 people a day, which there's approximately 11 million illegals in America. That would take 10 years. Which, I mean, okay, that's 10 years, but it seems like they're only escalating that. And 3,000 a day? We don't have the facilities. You would have, again, 11 million people is more than the population of New York City. You would need a New York City amount of investment and facilities and residential and amenities and these things to house them, even as prisoners. You would still need the equivalent of a New York City, larger than New York City, because New York City only has 8 million people, right? Yeah, 8 million people. So cities with 11 million population. I don't think there are that many bigger than New York City, honestly. List. So, see, in 2018, it said that there's 18 million in New York City, but that can't be right if it's 8 million. So there's got to be some sort of something. But we're talking cities the equivalent of like Osaka, Dhaka in Bangladesh, Beijing, Mumbai, Cairo, Mexico City, Sao Paulo, Shanghai, Delhi, and Tokyo. Like we are talking about these levels of population cities that we're city proper. Here we go. City proper would be like Dhaka, Bangladesh, or Mumbai, India, or Cairo, Egypt, Sao Paulo, Brazil. You're talking about creating enough detention housing facilities to literally populate the equivalent of Mumbai, India proper. That's fucking insane. Can we ban the troll, please? But yeah, on just an obscene amount of investiture that we just really don't fucking need. And it's just blatant violence.
like this is going to have any impact at all on the overall Everglades. There's zero impact.
What do you mean there's zero impact? You're building it within the Everglades. Or do you think the alligators live in a fucking apartment complex? This fucking guy. Also, I think it's funny how GZB Aku was all like, what? After I called him a troll after writing the trolliest shit on my chat.
Governor Ron DeSantis downplaying environmental concerns while the state Republican Party fundraises off the flashy alligator Alcatraz name. Today's protesters calling the facility political, pushing instead for preservation. Ryan Chandler, NBC News, the Everglades.
See, but this is the part where we also lose, right? Because all the right ever does is message and co-opt the narrative. See, look at these fucking liberals wanting to make sure that your cities aren't safe by protesting alligator Alcatraz so that we can put dangerous illegals in there and off our streets. These tree-hugging hippies that smoke pot and drain our resources are fighting against keeping your home safe. And there's just no counter-narrative because the Democrats don't have it, and there is no leftist media. So I'm not saying don't protest, but like do better than just environmentalism. Like do better. I don't know, but we need to do better. I don't actually have an answer to that other than do better. And I guess if I had to suggest anything, it would be not to just protest at those locations, but to crash the Republican meetings, to just bombard your congressmen, make their lives miserable and unbearable, and force them, confront them with their own lunacy and stupidity. Again, be more involved and active instead of, I went to a protest, I got my heart rate up, and now I'm horny and let's go. Like that's U.S. That's U.S. protesting, unfortunately. We're not out there causing a problem. We're out there being inconvenient and then being pushed around. Of course, he says nothing wrong because he's in their pockets. New York is the largest city in the United States, with the city proper's population more than double the next largest city of L.A. I didn't know that either. That's insane. Damn. Their parties with donors need to be crashed. No, exactly. They absolutely do. But of course, then we get arrested for, disturbing the peace or some dumb shit instead of, actually exercising our rights, which again goes back to how we have a constitutional crisis. If we can be arrested for exercising our First Amendment right, we don't have a First Amendment right. If you're black and you can be shot dead for carrying a gun or anything that might resemble a gun, you don't have the Second Amendment right. And this has been going on for decades, centuries. So folks, it's time to defend our rights. I'm not saying in a necessarily a violent revolution kind of way, but I'm saying you can't arrest me. I am peacefully protesting. You're the one that's out of a line. And make that go viral. Make that the new, you can't arrest me. I'm here peacefully. So anyway, we're actually getting close to the end of our stream here. Now my throat's catching up to me. We had a bit of a roller coaster today on stream. We had a lot of viewers at one point. We got trolled several different times. It's been an exciting... We had an accidental gift sub. But I mean, it's been a very adventurous stream today. So hopefully tomorrow's is just as exciting. But with that, I'll say thank you for joining us today. Tuesdays are U.S. affairs days, right? U.S. news, if you will. And tomorrow is foreign affairs, foreign news, foreign events day. And then Thursday is recap because unfortunately there's so much wild shit that happens between today and Thursday that like it actually is deserving of another stream to discuss the shit that's happened in just 2 days. Typically, it's something that happened here in America, not usually international news. But then again, we were playing fucking Horizon Zero Dawn, just having a good old time, playing Aloy's Trauma series, and Israel attacked Iran, and that just derailed everything. So, that being said, thank you all for joining us. Have a great night. I will see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And, yeah, President out.